How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 33 of the ControllerCast. I'm joined by a little bit of a different crew this time around. As always, joined by fucking Johnny B. Wood, but also joined by the better Wood, the one I wish I was doing this podcast with. Casey Wood, special guest, first ever special guest. Um, if it wasn't obvious, this is John's wife, everyone.
Yes.
But so this episode is gonna be completely focused on Spider-Man No Way Home. But obviously, we always start off with how we're doing. How our week's been. John and Casey, how about you guys start us off? How about Casey? Casey, you're the special guest. You start things off.
Okay, cool. You pretty great, honestly. This past week was my last week at work for Christmas vacation, so super hyped about that. Um, Nothing crazy going on. Just been playing some video games pretty much. Playing a lot of It Takes Two, which has been great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
So good.
It's so good. Um, a lot of just chilling, being pregnant. That's about it. Super excited for our 20-week ultrasound appointment tomorrow, but other than that, nothing else has been going on too much.
Did you ever reveal the gender? I don't know if that's still a secret.
We'll
Is it a
find out
secret?
tomorrow for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow for sure we'll find out. So
Yeah, that's what I remember John was saying that like you guys weren't for sure, but you were like 90% or something.
yeah, we're like 90% sure, but tomorrow we'll like definitely know.
Yeah, we'll know for a 100% fact.
Yeah.
Most likely. As long
Have
as
you-
our baby isn't too shy, if you know what I mean. Because that's how they tell.
Oh.
Yeah, they look at the.
I was like, what? What are you talking about, shy?
By the way, our dog is growling in the background. Go lay down.
I don't even hear him. So
Really?
honestly, yeah, you're
Oh.
good. You're good.
Perfect.
Wait, so I forgot. Have you told everyone? I don't even know. If you told
No,
Okay.
no, we won't tell anybody until probably like tomorrow. We'll make like a big announcement or whatever once we officially know.
We haven't really figured out like how we're gonna make the announcement, but it'll probably be like a social media kind of thing.
Nothing crazy.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've known for like a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have.
That's why I had to like double check before I said anything. I was like, like, is this public knowledge or not?
Right. Cut.
Edit this out right now. But what about you, John? I mean, it's probably pretty similar, but
Yeah, it is pretty similar. Definitely got the end of the year grind going on at work right now. But I'm hoping that it improves, and after this last week and moving into the Christmas week, I hope that it just slows down. Like Casey said, we played a bunch of It Takes Two. We just played the first chapter the first time around, and then we took a really long break from it. But we got back into it, and I want to say we're like either a third to a half of the way in. I think we're on chapter 4. So
if you're in chapter 4, you're past the halfway mark.
yeah, so we're definitely grinding that out, and it's so fun. I highly recommend. Andrew and Jordan need to get back into it. I hope they do, because it's honestly like one of the best games I think we've played in a while. For definitely in, like a local multiplayer game. And
Cool.
I would say like the last game that we played like that was like Super Mario 3D World, but this is way better in terms of a couch co-op game.
What do you think kind of clicked for you this time as opposed to when you guys maybe went through it the first time and it kind of like bounced off, I'm kind of curious.
I'm not sure. I feel like you just got a lot better at games.
Yeah, no, I really think I just got a lot better at the understanding of the controller.
Yeah.
With like my fingers and knowing what they need to do at a certain point.
But we went through this big GTA phase, and with that game, obviously you use like literally every button on the controller. And I think once Casey got the hang of that, just like everything sort of clicked, and just
Mhm.
video games in general were a lot easier for you.
Yeah, and I also love that like with It Takes Two is it goes over relationship stuff too.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a video game that you're playing, like you're also working on your own relationship as well,
Yeah.
which is really
Mhm.
dope.
It's almost like it was literally meant for couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this an It Takes Two review, but like I'll save that. No, but I'll just say this one thing about that is like that game is so much better if you can play that with your partner. But also like it's so funny, John. I feel like because we've been playing games like our whole lives, like we take for granted how much we have our brains wrapped around like just like a regular controller, but like probably for like the regular person, they look at that a control like a video game controller and are like, what the fuck is that?
Like how there's so many buttons on it.
That's
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
With it.
But we've been
Like-
playing games our whole lives, so it's just like second nature.
yeah, exactly. Like this is like the most natural looking thing to me, but like for other people, it's like, yeah, well, like what the hell is this shit? Give me like a remote TV remote.
Literally.
But I'd rather use a PlayStation controller than the TV remote.
Oh, absolutely. And we actually use our PlayStation as like our primary entertainment machine at this point. And she'll turn it on all herself. She'll navigate it herself. She can
Oh, yeah.
download
Same.
stuff. Like,
Well, that's easy. I think that's pretty easy.
but it wasn't. It wasn't easy at one point. So
Fair enough.
Everything's a learning experience.
exactly.
Um,
Other than that, other than playing It Takes Two, slowed down a little bit on my side swipe grind. I've been kind of stagnant on it. Haven't really been playing it too much. Here and there, I'll play it, but I'm going up and down in my rank, so I'm like, not putting 12 hours a week into it at this point. We also had a really nice date day yesterday. Actually, we went to Westroads Mall in Omaha. If you've ever listened to Justin Bieber, it's the mall, the Omaha Mall.
The deepest of cuts.
The Omaha Mall, dude, that was so dumb. But it was really fun. We got a Yum Roll, which is like a subsidiary of Blue Sushi, but it has more to offer than Blue Sushi. It's literally like a mini pop-up, but instead of just sushi, they've got like rice bowls and shit too.
Top notch.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. How'd you know it was a subsidiary of Blue? I didn't even know that.
It says Blue in the title.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm assuming it's like a basic version of it.
And if it's not, then I'm just a dumbass, but I'm like 99% sure it is. 90% sure, let's say.
Yeah, they have like the same, like when we go to Blue.
They've got the blue balls.
Yes, they have the blue balls.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then you're probably right, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it made me realize I never ate at that food court.
It's really fire, actually. Pretty much every place there is really good. And I remember back when I was a kid, I was like, oh, they're taking out Burger King. How could they? But no, it's like, obviously at this day and age, I can hardly eat Burger King without like getting sick. So it's a lot better than that.
Well, it's nice. You can get drunk and walk around the mall.
Yeah, that too. They've got Blatt beer and table, and you can get like whatever drinks you want from there.
I know you guys are a big fan of Blatt, but I need to go there again because when I went, I got like, I didn't get food poisoning, but I got fucked up like from that. Because they like catered an event that I was at, or like the event was at Platt, but they like like did their catering menu. But
yeah.
like it like there's something fucked up. Like I was the toilet king.
Something wasn't like cooked all the way, probably.
Yeah, but that's probably like an outlier, I guess. If I go to Blatt again, you just have to go to Block 16 again.
Yeah, I'll give Block 16 another try. But the last time I went, my burger was undercooked. I don't get it.
I need to try Block 16 in the first place. Never had it.
Oh, I hope your burger's not undercooked. But yeah, so we had that nice little date day at Westroads. Saw Spider-Man No Way Home for the second time. This time in IMAX. The first time was Thursday night. It's kind of funny whenever I walk into a movie theater, seeing a movie that's super hyped like this, I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I
Oh, on
cover
the way
my
in.
ears and like act like a jackass because I don't want to hear any spoilers as people are walking out. Like, oh my gosh, did you know that Spider-Man did this and that? Because that's what I fully expect, especially
Yeah.
for people in Omaha, because they're just inconsiderate. Other than that, though, honestly, it was pretty relaxed. We really just played a lot of It Takes Two. We didn't really watch a whole lot of movies even this week.
Christmas movies, maybe.
I don't even think that.
I think maybe we watched like one Christmas movie, but I fell asleep.
Yeah, that's how.
So-
Elf.
Elf.
I think we
yeah,
watched Elf.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched it, put it on for her primarily.
And I fell asleep like 25 minutes in, so
Yeah,
That summarizes the quality of it.
literally. That does. It's like a fat 7. It's redeemable for its Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie, but
exactly. You watch it once a year.
exactly. Maybe once a year.
This Christmas movie, his grandma got run over by a reindeer.
I don't know if I've seen that.
That
It's been a
actually,
long
no, that
time
is
since I've
fire.
seen
That is great.
It's a Cartoon Network movie.
Yes, I loved watching that one growing up.
It's been a really long time since I've seen that. I forgot it was a thing. I thought it was like a music video.
Mm-mm. No, it was on like Cartoon Network.
There were songs. Maybe that's why. Maybe they played like some of the songs because I remember that. So maybe that's where you get me fucked up.
That's shit for our weeks, I think.
Yeah, for my week, let's think. I'm trying to dial the clock back a little. Okay, so I knew I wasn't gonna have time to rewatch like every single Spider-Man movie, so I just focused my efforts on rewatching the Tom Holland ones. So that's kind of like what my like first half of my week was. Friday was honestly it was a pretty dead week outside of Spider-Man. But
Really?
yeah.
Just in general for news and stuff too.
Yeah, seriously, which is a good thing. Because we can just focus our efforts on this. But yesterday actually, I met up with Andrew because Andrew is out here in Phoenix, or like in Phoenix now, but in Arizona. I drove out to meet them because they spent a few days out in like Sedona, Grand Canyon area, like Flagstaff. So I drove out there to meet them, and they wanted to meet up at this town called Jerome. Uh, and yeah, and one thing I'll say about Arizona is like it's a very like diverse state, especially in its like geography. Because when I was in Jerome, it felt like I was in like Colorado, honestly. It was giving me a lot of like Estes vibes, specifically like there's a hotel there that looks out on the outside very like aesthetically similar, at least to me, to like Estes, kind of like a Estes like or not Estes to the Stanley.
Okay.
Yeah, like it looked like kind of like Stanley Jr. From the outside. And you know like there was snow like we were like up in the mountains like yeah, so like this is the first time that I've seen snow in Arizona, but like I'm not surprised because the elevation was like really high up, so it was like 2 hours from where I live, so not that long of a drive either. But yeah, we met up in this town because Andrew and Jordan, which is Andrew's girlfriend, they wanted to kind of like get a tour of the town and walk around. So we did that, and what I don't know if people know, if you're a Ghost Adventures fan, you'll know this town is supposed to be like haunted.
Residents than there are live residents in the town.
Yeah,
is what it said.
Yeah, John, you might have to, John and Casey, you guys might have to like fill in the gaps because yeah, like I know it's like been on Ghost Adventures. I don't really know like the full in-depth nature of like what this town's history entails.
It was really a mining town.
Yeah, it was like silver and gold mining town, and the hotel you're talking about used to be like the hospital and stuff like that.
And there was like over $1 billion of gold, silver,
Mhm.
mined up from that town, but like over 9,000 people died.
Yeah, from like tuberculosis and then just accidents that happen
Fires.
while mining and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Okay, so it matches up pretty similar to like what I gathered like when we were there, but uh
Gathered.
John's
Yep.
like John is like freaking out. John's like creaming his pants just for me speaking about this.
Yes, I'm excited. This dude does
uh,
not believe in ghosts. I've been trying to convince him for years.
I mean, I'll say this, they like went the town itself, they really like kind of went like all in on the like this is a haunted town aesthetic. Like I mean the main like food place there is called Haunted Hamburgers, you know, like 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 the you walk by like this big building and it's oh like Jerome ghost tours, you know, like they're like trying to go all in for but that's like the whole town's like personality, you know, or like image essentially. That and strangely, they're like a stoner town. For some reason, everywhere we went, like there was multiple references of weed. So I was like, okay, so weed and ghosts, like interesting.
fun. What
Yeah.
did you ask for? I mean,
Yeah. Like it was an interesting combination. And everyone there like gave off certain vibes in that regard too. Keeping it super general. But yeah, so we went on this ghost tour, which by the way, I gotta say also Haunted Hamburgers fire. Um,
Ooh.
really good. And honestly, like I could see if you guys come back to Arizona soon, like us going to this town, because I think you guys would really enjoy it. But let's see. Yeah, I went on this ghost tour and I'll say this. I and you can ask Andrew. You can fact check like this with Andrew. I was saying before the tour, I was like, I want to go into this like walk. I want to walk out of this as like a believer. Like I was like, I want to like I want to experience like a supernatural
Dude,
like
whenever see, that's the thing is that ghost shows and stuff talk about it too. Whenever you go in to a notoriously haunted place wishing for that, you will almost always get what you wish for.
Yeah, so and this is and I don't know if my eyes are just or my eyes and ears are not tuned for like like picking things out. But okay, this is kind of interesting. So like he walked us through the town, right? Essentially, and like gave us like he would like show us this building or this alleyway or like this destroyed lot or something. Like he took us to like a dozen different places and like gave us the history of it. And he had this weird machine. Like it was like essentially like a radio signal machine. And you could like hear like radio signals in the background.
Yeah, it's a spirit box.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what he called it, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to like butcher like whatever he called it.
No, we got you. You
Yeah.
watch all the ghost shows.
Yeah.
I know all of that crap, okay?
And and like you could hear like music like cutting in and out like every like 20 seconds, right? Maybe like on average you hear like just a half second of something, right?
Right.
Like maybe you'll hear like like blinding lights pop in for like a millisecond, you
No,
know?
literally.
Yeah,
And
that's what happens.
yeah. And like the idea is like these spirits are supposed to like converse with you through these radio signals, essentially, if I'm getting this right.
Bumblebee method.
The what method?
Like from Transformers, Bumblebee.
Yeah. That's actually literally what I was thinking when this was all happening. So this dude, he would go to multiple places and like he would use the spirit box, right? And he would try and he like sometimes he would like feel like say that he heard stuff, and sometimes he like wouldn't hear things. It was interesting. I'll say this. Sometimes when he said he heard something, I feel like I heard something completely different. And there's times where I felt like I heard something that I'm like, how did you not pick up on that?
Yeah.
But and the only other person that used the spirit box was me. They put me on, like the group threw me on the fucking hot seat, and
What?
it wasn't even. It was funny because it wasn't even Andrew and Jordan that were like, oh, like Ursula, you should like do this. It was someone from like it was another person in the group, like just looked at me and was like you should do this. I was like, what? I was like, okay, I'll do it.
sidekick and knew that you weren't a believer.
Spooky.
And then Jordan was like, he's a skeptical. So I did the spirit box thing and I asked it questions, and I think Jordan said that she felt like she heard something, but yeah, it was interesting. Oh, and then we went to a mortuary, which I think like where they like bury dead people or something. That was kind of creepy, just like the environment of it. It was like it's like this looks like some like, and there's this like weird like mechanical thing that like looked like some like spiritual like totem. It was weird. But
Creepy.
yeah, and there's so many destroyed buildings too. Sorry, I'm going off on this long
No, I
tangent
love
about
it's interesting.
like
love hearing this stuff.
but the town was cool. The worst part about this whole thing though, and like it completely unrelated to the ghost stuff, is this whole tour was like outside, right? And it was a 2 hour ghost tour through the town. But keep in mind, like this is up in the mountains in Arizona. So we were walking around like this town for 2 hours, like outside in like freezing weather.
Oh.
Like it was like my hands by the end were like fucking like clamped up. Like I like and like it was I was like the last like 15 minutes of the tour I was like, okay, I'm like ready to wrap this up because it was so cold. Like and it kept getting cold, like obviously because the night was going later and later, it kept getting colder and colder, you know. So like
Right.
but I honestly, for me, it's gonna sound like such a lame fucking answer, but the coolest part for me was honestly hearing the history of the town, and like seeing like like, oh, like this used to be this place, and like there's so many interesting details about that, um, because some of the I feel like a lot of the like actual ghost shit like kind of like went over my head, like. I feel like I guess I don't know if these were tell me if these expectations were too high, but I was like I was like wanting to go into it like I had like a legitimate like there was some shit that I saw,
Seeing
like
stuff is very, very rare.
or
Yeah.
not like seeing, but like a feeling or something, like I was like looking, dude. I was like really looking like in the
Like, holding
mortuary.
yourself.
Yeah, they're in the mortuary. There's this. I was like really looking at, like these motherfuckers were listening to this dude, and I was like trying to look around and everything. I was like, bro, I'm trying to see. I'm trying to be a believer, seriously. And the only time I thought I saw something was like there was this like in the mortuary when I was like moving. They give us flashlights, right? I was like moving my flashlight. Uh, and obviously wherever you point your flashlight there's not supposed to be a shadow there, right? Like when I was moving, and I don't know if this is like gonna make any sense, when I was moving the flashlight there was a shadow that like was not disappearing when I was like moving the flashlight, but I think like when I like kind of inspected more on it, like it was there was something where I would like I looked into it more. I'm trying to remember like off the top of my head where I was like, oh, okay, never mind, that's nothing.
Yeah, something in the
But
environment maybe that made it do
yeah,
that.
yeah, but like that was the one time where I was like, holy shit, what am I? Because we were in the mortuary, so I was like, holy fuck, like, like,
No, dude. I mean, it's hard. I mean, even at the Stanley, we went to the Stanley Hotel, and it's supposedly one of the most haunted places in the world. And I feel like we didn't really have that like concrete thing that happened that we were like, oh my gosh, like 100% we believe, no doubt about it. But for us, it was more like a feeling.
Well, I think a lot of times too, it's like for me, I've had ghost experiences at schools that I've worked at, and I'm like, I'm not asking for it, I'm not looking out for it, it just happens. So it might be one of those things too where you kind of go in with too high of expectations and thinking that you're going to see something or you want to hear something or something along those lines, and a lot of times it doesn't happen because your expectations are too high. But I think like for us, it was more so of like we knew something was going to happen when we were at the Stanley. We thought something was going to happen. And I don't think anything too crazy happened for us. But I mean, we still left early because.
I mean, I did feel a breeze on my ankle twice.
And Casey really
and I were
sick.
shoulder to shoulder. And she didn't feel the breeze on her ankle, but I felt it on my ankle. So
yeah, the biggest disappointment I had with I'll say this right now, the tour guide, super friendly guy, like super like nice guy. But I wish they didn't take us to the fucking hotel, dude. That was the biggest L.
That's like one of the most haunted places in that.
Yeah.
Because it was a
Yeah.
hospital transitioned into a hotel.
That was me and Jordan and Andrew's expectation. Like
Yeah.
we're like, oh yeah, we're hyped, we're ready to go to this hotel.
Yeah.
And we didn't go there. We went to
Oh.
like the mortuary in the town and like some of these other places. But I was like that whole time I had my eyes set on that hotel because the hotel like overlooks the whole town essentially.
Yeah.
So I was like ready to go there. I was like honestly thinking the night before, because I was like honestly like what if I like spent the night like the night before we did all this stuff, but it was kind of like a way too last minute of a plan. Like it was like $100 like just to like stay, and I was like I don't know if I want to just do that by myself, like
Yeah.
you know.
On the Ghost Adventures episode, they've said that like most people don't make it through the night
Yeah.
at the hotel.
And they don't even
See-
say why. They just dip out. They're like, deuces, I'm done. Pretty
See,
much.
that's like the next step for me. Like I went on a ghost tour. Like I want to do one of those things. I want to stay at a hotel where like I want to spend it. Do you say what?
I was gonna say Stanley or that one. Like
Stanley is like, isn't there like a really long wait list for Stanley? Like it's like,
No.
there
or
were
maybe it's the room. It might be like a room.
Yeah,
room
there's like
217.
Yeah, the room that's supposed to be like the worst haunted room or whatever, that has a wait list. But all the other rooms where you still can get paranormal activity, they're like you can just purchase them whenever, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I gotta do that. I don't know. Did you guys have any questions for me? I know like if you're curious about any of my experiences,
Well,
this
I
your
saw
chance.
Jordan was using an EMF reader. Did you guys get
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of I tried using mine for the first half, but I feel like mine was like not going off. So like I don't know if mine was busted, so I just like I put mine away. But there's a few points where a couple of people's was going off. I don't know like what the quote unquote science behind it. Like how does it? I don't know like what it's reading
Well,
even.
it's supposed to be like ghosts give off these electromagnetic fields, and the EMF readers can pick up on that the stuff that we can't see. So like if you have a walkie-talkie next to it, it's going to pick up on that energy and it's going to start lighting up and making a noise.
Or if you pointed the EMF reader at a PlayStation, it would go off.
Yeah,
or
but
anything electrical.
exactly.
But if it's in midair
and
and it
there's
goes
no
off,
there's no electrical stuff happening, then
like if you're in a room where there's no electricity, everything's off, and it's going off in the middle of the room, that's probably a good key or a good clue that potentially there's a spirit in front of you, because they're supposed to give off like electricity to a certain extent.
yeah, like very big like vats of energy they're supposed to give off to take away from us and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's the idea.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we use that. That was interesting to use, but yeah, I couldn't even like understand how to use it. I feel like I was like fucking it up.
it might have been going off, which would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, were you guys curious about anything else regarding Jerome?
Did you go in that big like warehouse looking thing that's like kind of close to the hotel? Because that building is supposed
That's
to
the morgue, right?
I think that's where it is.
The what?
The big building that's next to the hotel, because we watched the
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures episode last night while you guys were on the tour,
That building
hoping that
Yeah.
maybe we could manifest something for you guys from across.
Yeah. But
No,
like the surgical suite and like they had the morgue and stuff down there, and like something else was a part of that, but they're like making it into something else right now. I don't know.
yeah, that was okay. So I kind of like lumped that up with the hotel because it was like right next to the hotel. Yeah, that we didn't go there either. And like those are literally the two buildings, literally that.
Bro,
Those are supposed to be the two like the most haunted places in Jerome. So I'm surprised that they didn't even like walk you guys up there or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so like this was like my reaction. Like, there's a stairway, right, that goes up to that street that those two buildings are on.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
go up the stairway, and to the left is where that stuff is. It's like to left side of once you go up these stairs. And then we just went right, and I was like, and I was like looking. I'm like, yo, buddy, we're buckle,
Yeah.
we're going the wrong way. And I was thinking it was like the beginning of the tour when this happened. So I was like, we're gonna loop back around. We're clearly checking out the other side of the street first, and then we make
Right.
our way back to the staircase, and we start going down the staircase. I was like, whoa, whoa. I was like, okay, what about that?
What about
Like,
that big looming scary looking hotel?
yeah, that building overlooking the entire city, like the place that you keep referencing. Can we go there, pal?
The place that was on Ghost Adventures, like,
Yeah.
bro.
That's what I was like thinking when Jonathan said that y'all were going on a ghost tour of Jerome. I was like, they're going to the hotel and stuff like that. Like, that's dope. But now
Yeah.
you guys didn't go. That sucks. That's really, I mean,
Yeah.
cool that you got to go around the town at least. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time you guys come, we'll go to the hotel.
We'll
yeah.
just stay there.
Well, yeah, we'll have to get a room because like there's suicides that happened there. Someone got his head crushed in by an elevator. Like crazy
Yeah.
stuff happened there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is some crazy history there. And there's
Honestly,
a really notoriously haunted places even near here that we could go. The
yeah.
the main one that I always reference that everyone gets an experience at is Villisca, the Axe Murder House. But I personally would never go there because it's supposedly there's some demonic stuff going on there.
Nah, I'm thinking like Squirrel Cage Jail.
Squirrel Cage Jail.
That one's
is in
supposed to be
Council
super
Bluffs.
chill, nothing too crazy. I mean, there were killers that were there and stuff that were murdered, but like, still, I
Yeah.
think that would be a nice, like, even
Something that's not like
Nothing
jumping
too-
over the edge.
yeah, like nothing too scary.
Yeah, but if
Oh,
you
I'm trying to experience some scary shit.
Okay, then
If
you
you
need
were-
you
you-
need to go to like England.
or go to like the Villisca Axe Murder House, but like I don't think I would join you on that journey.
Go to like go look up the Hellfire Club. Go
This
to
this is
places.
my only asterisk. This is my only asterisk with that though. I don't want to go somewhere that's like fucking nasty.
Nasty,
If that makes sense.
like, nasty, like you'll bring something home and it'll affect your life, or nasty, like physically nasty.
Like physically nasty.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I feel that.
Well, at the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa, there's literally blood stains in the wall.
Yeah, and
So
like
that's kind of nasty.
you can see
Like
like
on the wall or in the wall?
yeah, you can see like the axe markings and stuff from when the guy was like doing his whole
And the
slasher
blood.
thing.
Yeah.
Like that's like my thing. Like if I'm spending the night somewhere, like at least make it like I don't want to feel like it's fucking nasty. Like like where I'm
Somewhere like that
sleeping.
you wouldn't sleep though.
Yeah.
You would not go
Go
to sleep.
to the Conjuring house. You can take a tour of the Conjuring house or
I
the
would not.
Poltergeist house,
Ooh.
that kind of stuff. You can go do that. Hard pass from us on that, but
Yeah, I won't go anywhere where I'm afraid that I'll bring something home. Because the
Yeah.
Stanley, I was already afraid about that. Like that was probably the biggest thing that was the first notoriously haunted place we went, and it's one of the most haunted places supposedly in the US.
yeah.
And we felt very uncomfortable in the basement.
Yeah, and we only went to one area.
We went to one area and I already had something touching my leg, or I thought. And then literally right before we left the tour early, they were like, oh, this next room, some say that a demon lives here. And we were like, yeah, bye.
And it like growls at you. I was like, hard pass.
That's what they were saying. There's actually another hotel like on the main street of town in Jerome called the Connor Hotel. And they were saying that that there's like a dog or something that like barks at you in the middle of the night, and they're like behind a room, and like you'll hear some shit like that. Which is funny because when I was looking at hotels, I think that was the hotel that I was looking at because it was like 75 a night. That would have been hilarious.
That insane.
That would have been fun. Be like, oh yeah, I'm staying at a haunted hotel and don't even realize it.
I'm hearing some. Well, you said like there's like hotel room number 1, and like no one ever stays in that room and like the last time someone stayed in that room, they literally spent the night in their car because like he said there was like some woman that was like trying to like scratch him or some shit. I don't know.
Ooh, that's spooky.
Bye.
That's
No
really
thanks.
spooky.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was an interesting experience for sure. Nice change of pace. That was my little ghost adventure story.
You're not a
And
believer necessarily, not 100%.
yeah, like I said, I want to see like some shit like fly off the fucking like 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 I want to see like a fucking pan fly off the wall or some shit, you know? Like I want to see something that I'm look that like I experienced and it's like okay, I legitimately have no other explanation for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
I
Yeah.
still want that. I've never seen that, and I'm a believer.
I've had that and I fully believe. Fully believe.
She's had some crazy experiences.
Yeah. But you know, okay, there you go. That was the episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
Ran away home.
Yeah. There you go. The long-awaited Ghost Adventure episode. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Follow us on socials. See you guys later. Actually, okay. Obviously joking. Now we can go ahead and get into the main topic of this show. Spider-Man No Way Home. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's get into this movie. This is clearly, without a doubt, the most, I think anticipated movie of the year for not just all three of us, but probably like everyone that goes to movies. Just
Definitely.
just for everyone's like kind of just so we're all on the same page. Up through our general thoughts, we're gonna keep it spoiler free. Just if you want to get like a general idea of like what us three thought of the movie, that's what this first part is for. And then after that, we're just gonna go right into spoilers because I'm gonna be honest, like there's not much that we can really concretely talk about without spoiling this film. But before that, I kind of wanted to gauge your guys' history with not just um, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, but like Spider-Man in general, like what your guys' experience with that character has been really throughout your guys' lives. Because I think that's especially with this movie is a really good point to lay out. Because I feel like your mileage can vary extremely depending on something as simple as that. Um, I
Right.
guess I guess I could start off. So I was so I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but my two favorite heroes are Spider-Man and Batman. But and this, but I'll say this, I didn't like I love Batman, but I didn't really get into Batman until the Nolan films, That's when I fell in love with that character. So like when I was like 10. And from there on I've been a huge Batman fan. But Spider-Man, honestly, like Spider-Man I've loved since I was like a toddler. Like I used to watch the Spider-Man TV show, like the 90s cartoon TV show, like on television, like on like VHS. I played like the first game I ever played, I'm pretty sure it was like the Spider-Man like movie game on my like PC. Like I remember watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 like at the midnight premiere with like my dad. So like Spider-Man, because my dad used to live in New York City, so like Spider-Man, like I think it really resonated with him back then, too. And then obviously, like even though not the Toby, the Andrew films are not as like highly regarded, I still find enjoyment in them at the very least. Um, Even Spider-Man 3 is as shitty as it is, like I can still find enjoyment in it. And then
Tobey Maguire.
yeah, Bully Maguire. But pretty much what I'm trying to say is like I absolutely love Spider-Man. Like and especially like more recently with the games, the 2018 game and Miles Morales, and now Into the Spider-Verse. Like Spider-Man fans, aka me, we're eating. Uh, and so that's kind of my. And then it's worth saying with the Tom Holland films, I really really like Homecoming. I also enjoy Far From Home, but I think it doesn't land as well. Like I feel like in general the story just doesn't work. Ben, we can kind of talk about that. Pretty much like I just feel like Mysterio, like the whole story, I feel like is kind of like not silly, but it doesn't work, especially if you like know anything about Mysterio. Like you're kind of like the whole first half of the movie, you're kind of just like waiting for him to be like
Yeah,
the point where he's
where
evil.
he's like, yeah, evil.
Yeah, but so yeah, I absolutely love Spider-Man. He's like my favorite character. Besides Batman, and I've been a huge Spider-Man fan since I was literally as long as I can remember. But what about you guys? Because I actually don't know like what your guys' history is.
I guess I don't have a huge history with Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. My go-to superhero is Hulk. Always have been. Always will be. I love Hulk.
That is a first. I've never heard anyone say that actually.
You love
I
Hulk.
love
Yeah.
Hulk. He's one of my favorite superheroes. But I mean, I grew up watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I loved watching that. Nobody in my family was really ever into that kind of stuff. It was always me that was always into it. Now, I didn't play any video games or anything like that a whole lot growing up, so I wasn't really into that whole aspect of things. The Andrew Garfield ones, I didn't really get into those ones until later on, like into like my early, well, I mean, I'm in my early 20s now, but like it took me a while to get a grasp on them, I guess. I really love the Tobey Maguire ones just because they're the OG Spider-Man, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't have a huge history with Spider-Man. I really love the new Tom Holland ones and what they're doing with it and stuff like that. But the like Homecoming and Far From Home, they're good. I think they're pretty good. I feel like they're a little slow for my liking when it comes to Spider-Man. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for like my history aspect with Spider-Man and stuff, because I'm a Hulk person, so that's just
Well, I mean, and you sat through the Spider-Man game with me.
Oh yeah, I've sat through all of the Spider-Man games with you and stuff like that, and I thoroughly enjoyed those because it felt like I was watching a movie rather than watching like a video game happening. It was like every time we played, it was like a series.
Especially Miles.
Oh yeah,
Miles
Miles Morales. That was top notch. Can't really.
I would
that was
almost,
great.
I personally, without, in case we review these at any point, I would almost put Miles Morales above Spider-Man 2018, personally. I really love it.
I know Tana thinks that.
I love it. I think it's perfectly paced. It's got emotional depth. It's
I
just, and Spider-Man 2018 does, but it's like, I don't know. There's just something special about it.
I agree. I think
It's got a lot of charm.
Miles Morales.
It's a Christmas game.
Yeah, it is a Christmas game.
Gotta love that.
I think especially being like somebody who doesn't play video games all the time, it's nice just to watch it, because it really did feel like we were watching like a TV series where he would be playing and then it would cut to like the cutscenes and stuff like that, and it'd be like you're so engulfed in what's going on.
It feels like an MCU movie.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does.
I really enjoyed it when we played it and stuff, because we just played it not too long ago.
Yeah, we finished it. I want to say in October.
Yeah,
September, October.
Yeah, I think it was about October we finished. But yeah, that was great.
And
of course, you've seen the Venom movies, if you consider that Spider-Man.
Yeah, I watched the Venom movies. I mean, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're good.
And just so everyone's on the same page, like all of us are like also huge MCU fans. Obviously, you and me and John, you guys will know that already. But like Casey also, like they've actually seen more MCU stuff than I have.
It's funny. Like, Casey got me into the MCU because I used to be an MCU.
Yeah, hater. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why you hated on it so much, Jonathan.
I think one of the first movies I saw from the MCU was Thor 2, though.
No, yeah, and that's
like the worst one.
Yeah.
And the Thor ones, they're okay, but like I think once we actually started watching them from like the like Captain America, the first one, and then ending off at Endgame and stuff like that.
Infinity War was about to come out, and you were like, oh my gosh, like, Jonathan, you need to actually watch through some of these.
All of these.
Yeah.
And we ended up we went to Redbox every day for 2 weeks and watched a new MCU film every single night.
Yeah, because Disney Plus wasn't a thing at that time or anything. So I was like, nope, we need to watch this, because I was the only one who was really into it in our relationship. But now we're both like really good,
engulfed,
diehard like MCU series, movies, all of it.
Watched all the What If episodes right away. We're even watching Hawkeye as it comes out.
We watch WandaVision, Loki,
Falcon and Winter, Stinky. We watch.
That one was very forgetful. But...
One aside about Miles Morales is I always thought Genki from that game just was Ned. If I'm like,
yeah, I could see that.
I could definitely see that.
It like feels a lot like the
MCU Spider-Man.
It really does.
Yeah. But what about you, John? What's your background with Spidey?
Well, I used to watch the Spider-Man cartoons way back in the day too. I think it was like one of the morning cartoons on Saturdays, if I remember right. But other than that, I played like the PS2 Spider-Man games, mostly at my cousin Megan's house. Shout out Megan if you're listening. I played a little bit of that there, and that was kind of one of my main like first experiences with playing a video game with Spider-Man. I didn't play the Spider-Man the movie game on PC or anything, but I think it was Spider-Man 2 on PS2.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is like the one that people said that was the best before like the PS4 ones.
Yeah. So I got to get a lot of good Spider-Man experience from that. I didn't play it a whole ton, probably just a few hours, but I remember it even today. And then I watched the Tobey Maguire films as they came out. I think I did see all of them in theaters, and I don't even remember who took me, because I don't know if my dad was super into them or not. So it must have been like maybe with a friend or something. I can't remember who I saw him with, but I swear I saw all of them in theaters, except for the third. That one I saw on like DVD when it came out. And I remember Spider-Man 3 was one of like the first Blu-ray movies, I think, to come out.
Yeah, it was. It used to be bundled with the PS3s.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
And then from there, I saw the Andrew Garfield movies in theaters because I've always loved Spider-Man. And like,
I remember we saw the second one together.
Yeah, at Westroads, I'm pretty sure. I want to say it was Village Point.
Yeah, it was Village Point, I think. But I remember we saw that together. I think we saw Homecoming together too, but that I might be wrong about that one.
I'm not sure about Homecoming. I think I saw that in theaters though, because I was always into Spider-Man, and I really liked Spider-Man mostly for like his powers. I just thought he was the coolest superhero based on what he could do, and mostly from the Tobey films. That's just kind of like how I associate Spider-Man working, is like, you know, the wrist web shooters that actually come out of him. But no, dude, and then I played the games, played Spider-Man 2018. Anyone who's an avid ControllerCast podcast listener knows that, unfortunately, a save file issue kept me from actually finishing the game. But we watched like cutscenes to finish it off. Which was
still great.
It was still badass. Yeah. It felt like a really good like Spider-Man TV series, like you say, Ursel. But Miles Morales was amazing. Freaking love that game. We played it within 24 hours. Like, I'm pretty sure I took a personal day off at work just to play that game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because Casey happened to be off, and I was like, honestly, I'm just going to take a personal day so we can just run through this, because I can't stop thinking about it. And then I saw the MCU Spider-Man films. Homecoming I really like. It felt like a good like teenage Spider-Man film, more so than the Tobey and Andrew films even. I thought it felt like a very like teenage version of Spider-Man. And then Far From Home, yeah, it was not as good. I still like it a lot, but like, to your point, Ursula, everyone knows Mysterio is a bad guy if you know Spider-Man. So like, everyone was waiting for that to come to fruition. But I've always loved Spider-Man, and he is probably my favorite superhero of all time.
Yeah. And I guess now we can kind of get into our general thoughts about this movie.
Yeah.
And just for reference, like I'd probably rate Far From Home a 7.5. I'd probably give 7.5 to 8 maybe. I really was not as hot on the movie like this most recent watch through. And then I'd probably give Homecoming like an 8.5. Obviously I'm gonna hold off my score for this film, but let's talk about this movie. And I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This movie is fucking amazing.
True.
Like,
It's top notch.
like, bro, like that, like we've been building up to just us talking about this, but like for like an hour now.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I've not been able to get my mind off of this movie since I watched it on. I mean, it's Sunday now. Watched it Thursday night, and um, going into this, like my expectations, I was genuinely, I was expecting like a 7 to 8 kind of range, like an enjoyable ride. Um, and my expectations weren't like through the roof, but they were kind of like middle of the road. Like I was just walking in to have a good time. Um, but like, I'm obviously a Spider-Man fan. And just walking out of this movie, like every single thing that kept my expectations like kind of like in check, uh like any fears that I had with like, oh, they could fuck this up, or like they could, if this is how I think they're gonna do it, like this is like it's not gonna like go as well as it could. Any sort of fear that I had as a Spider-Man fan, walking out of that movie, like they I don't know how, there's like almost no way that they could have handled this better, like in my opinion. Like this movie sidestepped any sort of like big like potholes that it could have fallen into, because there's a lot of places where this movie could have fucked up. Like
Absolutely.
the two worst Spider-Man movies, which are or considered the two worst Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. The big downfall for both those movies is that there's a lot going on and the movie just can't like uh efficiently balance everything that's happening, and it's kind of a mess. There's even more going on in this movie, and somehow the geniuses at Marvel, Kevin Feige, our Lord and Savior Kevin Feige, like I still like cannot like it. Like this movie to me is just like it is like a like a feat in cinema. Like it is like I don't think people are realizing like how big of a deal this movie is. This is almost more of this is as big of a deal as Endgame, and I would almost argue a bigger deal in certain cases. Um, and this movie, I'm just trying to be very general, but every plot, the way this, like even this, the way the story goes, it's not the direction I was expecting, and like how they decided to incorporate these older characters, like these older villains and things like that. How like Tom Holland's like Spider-Man interact with these older villains. Um, that was a really cool story. I think that this movie does justice to Tom Holland's character as well as like these older villains and things like that. And it just puts a really good spotlight on every single thing, and it really like gives justice to everything that this film focuses on, and just completely like knocks it out of the park. Like this movie is hands down the best Tom Holland Spider-Man film. It is hands down like in the top three of the MCU. It's potentially the best MCU film. This is potentially the best Spider-Man film, and this is like a top five like top three comic book film like ever made, in my opinion. Like this movie is fucking amazing, and like Tom Holland, amazing in this film. Zendaya, amazing. Doctor Strange, amazing. Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, like Electro, like all these people like bring their A game. The action is amazing. There's moments of this movie that'll make you like want to cry. This movie is a roller coaster, and like seriously, just get up and go watch this movie if you haven't. Like, obviously, you're gonna go watch this movie. It's fucking Spider-Man: No Way Home. But if you haven't, go fucking watch it. Like, that's my general thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, to get right into mine, basically, holy shit. I mean, please, like Ursula said, everyone go see this film, please. If you're even mildly interested in Spider-Man or superhero movies in general, you need to see this. To keep it general, I think this is easily the best movie I've seen all year,
Yes,
without a
yes.
doubt.
Yes.
Probably of the decade. It's a short decade so far, but it feels very long.
Yeah.
It's an amazing like coming of age film for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and it brings a lot of like real tough choices to a pretty otherwise tame MCU version of Peter Parker.
Mhm.
I mean, I absolutely love this movie and was floored watching it for the first and second time. The first time I didn't let any tears go, but the second time I actually did. I did cry, full disclosure. There's really never truly a dull moment in this entire movie from start to finish. And
The pacing is amazing.
And I talked exactly. The pacing is amazing.
It's perfect, honestly. Yeah.
I talked to Casey about this when we were about to see it. I was like, man, I'm so eager to see how it ends. I just hope that there's no slow points like in Homecoming and like Far From Home. And there were no slow points. We were like debatably on the edge of our seat the entire time, even the second watch through. We're going to take a deep dive into it, obviously. So I'll keep it kind of at that, because I know, Ursula, you covered a lot of really good points, but it was incredible. And all the fight scenes were incredible as well in this movie. Like, honestly, I know, Ursula, you were hoping for something as iconic as the Spider-Man 2 fight scene with the train stuff. I feel like almost every fight scene that was in this movie would almost match up to that, but there's one in particular that I really, really love and I think is incredible to look at.
Is it the one in the trailer?
It is the one.
Yeah,
in the trailer, actually. It's just
yeah.
bonkers to watch. But I'll keep it to that for now. Obviously, we're going to get into super heavy spoilers soon, but Casey, give us your general thoughts. I know we've covered a lot, but
yeah, y'all covered pretty much what I have to say. I mean, like, my expectations, I guess, were not set at the highest just because I felt like Far From Home and Homecoming just really didn't hit it on the nail for me personally. But when it came to watching No Way Home, it was like surpassed my expectations more than I could have asked for. Like, I really don't think I've ever walked away from a movie and been like, literally, like, I will wake up in the middle of the night. Like, that night I woke up thinking about the movie.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen a lot of the time for me. I mean, except for Harry Potter. But besides that, but like, this was honestly one of the best movies that I've personally seen in the past, like, couple of years, to be honest. I haven't really been able to sit through a movie and be like, I'm going to hold my pee in because I can't miss a single thing.
Being pregnant too.
Yeah, being pregnant, I was like, I have to pee, but I'm like, there's so much good that's happening that I can't miss out on it because I'm just going to miss out on like what potentially is more to come. Like, it was so mind-blowing in the sense that there was so much greatness going on. Like, all the fight scenes, all of the actors were top notch. I think Tom Holland really did an amazing job as well, portraying Peter Parker in the sense that, like, he really connected to that character and it really showed through on this movie. I think he blew it out of the water. I really think they just did a phenomenal job on this movie.
You just keeping it general, do you guys have anything, any general cons about the movie?
You know, it's funny, the first time watching it, I thought that there was a slight plot hole with like when Peter Parker's revealed as Spider-Man. I thought there was a slight plot hole with like how they got out of the issues surrounding that. But then watching it a second time, I was like, oh no, That makes sense. So I really can't. Like,
Yeah.
I was like looking for a con the second time watching it, and I really couldn't even.
I feel that I couldn't I feel like there were maybe the very beginning in the sense of the whole, like you were talking about Jonathan, the whole Peter Parker and his identity coming out and stuff. I was thinking the same thing, like, okay, like there could be something missing here. But watching it the second time around, we were both like,
Oh, that makes sense.
that totally makes sense. I really
just like how they got out
yeah.
of the immediate trouble.
Yes,
of
the
that
situation that they were in, they were able to get out of. But I don't think there's any cons really to this movie. It's
hard to find one.
It really, unless you want to be like extremely nitpicky. But even then, it's like,
I know what you're talking about, and that was like a blink and you can miss that explanation kind of thing. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. Because I didn't even I had to when I was thinking about the movie after the fact, that's when I realized. We'll talk about that in spoilers. I know exactly what you're talking about though.
Okay.
The only con that I could think of potentially is that's not a preference thing, like an actual con that I might be able to think of is there are a few plot holes. There's one that I'll mention. That's kind of how does that I guess it's kind of some jazz hands. You kind of have to go with it after a while. But and then honestly, I think it's getting to the point a little with MCU movies where the humor is I feel like it's I feel like they just had to dial it back a few notches, just a little bit. I feel like there was just times where there was a joke that was made and I was just I don't know if you really needed to throw anything in there. Yeah, I don't know.
see that.
I could see that, and I would almost argue it's a preference thing potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said. I mean, I could definitely see that though. The second time watching, I think I actually appreciated it a little bit more though. Just because I'm okay. I mean, because honestly, to keep it general, it's a little bit of a darker story.
Yeah.
And I think those moments of even the cringy MCU comedy are almost needed, but it's and I could see what you're saying.
It's a very small nitpick, and I'll just end off on this with my general thoughts. This movie has one of the most amazing endings I've seen in literally second to the Dark Knight for superhero movie ending. It is I don't know how I think that's the general consensus. I feel like a lot of people are saying the ending is one of the best parts of this movie. But I thought it was so ballsy
and so well done.
Yeah, and so beautifully done. I'll just say that whenever I think about whenever I get emotional thinking about this movie, I think about specifically the end of this film is amazing. But those are general thoughts.
General thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, go watch this movie. And actually one more thing, I'll just say this. I want everyone to realize how crazy of a feat it is with everything this movie juggles. Right? Even if you haven't seen it, right? Just the expectations going into this movie, that everything this movie tackles, that there is as much universal praise for this film. That it's not just oh yeah, that was good. It's this movie was fucking amazing.
No, truly, it for me, it felt like a fine piece of art is what I like to look at it as. It was a beautiful piece of art for that. Amazing.
Yeah, but now we're gonna get into spoilers. So we're gonna just spoil the shit out of this movie. If you haven't seen it, don't. Yeah. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, don't listen on any further unless you just don't care. But yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Podcasts and web shows are on the rise, and for good reason. They're great sources of entertainment and can be great listens in multitudes of situations like long drives or intense study sessions. Maybe, just maybe, you have an idea for a show or podcast that you want to put out into the world. Well, lucky for you, it's never been easier to jump into podcasting thanks to the wonderful people at Anchor.fm. Anchor takes care of most of the back-end work of podcasts. No more are the days of coordinating releases on multiple platforms, paying for a podcast hosting subscription to hold your RSS feed, or other hassles. Anchor sets up your podcast on all the major podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple automatically. They even provide sleek and easy-to-use editing tools that can be accessed from your phone or computer to get your podcast to the world through the path of least resistance. Anchor also matches you up with sponsors so that you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and even gives you in-depth stats for your shows like total plays, regions of viewership, as well as what kind of devices your show is being listened on. Here's the best part about all of this. It's free. So what are you waiting for? Anchor has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. If you're ready to add your voice and vision to the mix, it's never been easier. And I highly recommend you go the way of Anchor.fm, just like the ControllerCast did. So here you go. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. That's Anchor.fm.
So getting into spoilers, let's just get the cat out of the fucking bag. Fucking Andrew and Toby are in this movie.
Andrew,
That was like a holy shit, goosebumps. What?
literally, our movie theater went wild.
Oh my gosh, everybody, we were all screaming.
Everyone
we were all
was like,
"Ah!" Yeah.
like actual screaming.
We
like,
probably pissed off the movie next door, to be honest, because we
Yeah.
were so loud.
Yeah, I hope that these movie theaters have like soundproofing to a certain extent. Otherwise, the screaming might have been a spoiler in and of itself.
Yeah.
Jeez. Did you guys know that Andrew and Toby were in this movie beforehand?
No.
We actually both didn't. I sort of expected it or hoped for it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like 100% sure. I hadn't seen any leaked screenshots or anything. Ursula, I think you got spoiled on it, unfortunately.
Well, Andrew, plus all the interviews that was done with Andrew Garfield and stuff like that, he did a phenomenal job at being like, nah, I'm not in it.
They all did a great
all
job.
of them did a great job.
Toby was never interviewed.
No, he's
Yeah.
not. And
No one
plus,
gave a shit enough
Tom
to
Holland
interview.
is always the one to like let
Spoil.
the cat out of the bag,
Yeah.
and he actually kept his composure and kept it together for this movie, which was greatly appreciated because it was such a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I think it's because it did not work out for Andrew Garfield, because I think he's in like a few other movies this year too. Like there's this one that just came out called like Tick Tick Boom or something. So he every time anyone interviewed him for those movies, they're like, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my gosh, guys, shut up."
And I don't even think Tobey Maguire's doing anything anymore.
No, I think he just.
I think he's chilling.
He actually just came out of retirement.
Oh,
I'm not memeing. Like he's gonna be in a movie with like Brad Pitt next year or something. Like
What?
that's
Yeah.
actually okay.
Oh my gosh.
Good for him.
Well, I think even though you got spoiled on it, Ursula, unfortunately, I think none of us, even if we knew they were going to be in the movie, I don't think any of us expected how long they'd be in the movie.
Yeah.
Effect they would have on the and the story too.
For sure.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was saying like earlier. Generally, like, because that was like one of my fears about this movie was like, I was like, this could kind of be lame if like they just like teleport in for the final battle, like some endgame shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And to see it like them be there for the whole like third act essentially of the movie, like, you know, we get them for a good like I would say probably 20 minutes before we even get into like the final fight.
Yeah.
Maybe even more, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around that range, you know.
Yeah.
And that was like much neat. Like that was a big positive. Like
I agree. It was like 35 to 40 minutes of Toby and Andrew in the film. Like
yeah.
Bonkers.
And it was nice because it wasn't just like them going and kicking some ass and stuff like that. Like they were trying to be there for that Peter Parker too. And it was just, I really loved how they came in at the like the perfect timing.
Like literally they were older versions of Peter Parker, and they had their own experiences and their own life lessons to show Tom Holland's Peter Parker, the MCU Peter Parker, and they were able to keep him from potentially going down a worse path.
Yeah.
So it was just beautiful. And the way they came in too.
Oh, with Ned?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
I was
That
like,
was
oh my
so
gosh.
cool.
Like, what are they going to do with Ned now?
Yeah, that's
'Cause
what I
he's
was
magic.
wondering. Well, I mean, he was
Yeah.
really green, but
It
like,
seemed like they were giving hints that he might be like he might have some like magic powers of his own.
oh yeah, I that's what I was thinking the first time that I watched it, because I was like, all right, this can't just MCU does this shit because they want to do it. They put that stuff in there on purpose.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
that's
there
what
for
I
a
love
reason. Yeah.
about the MCU in general is nothing is done on accident.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Like literally everything is done.
With a
Everything's
purpose.
calculated.
Yeah.
They're
And-
very calculated with what they do.
Very much
And
so.
like the two things I was actually like spoiled on before the movie was I saw like a photo of all three of them at that construction site thing. I saw that like
The
a
statue.
month or like a month or two ago. And then I saw a photo of why am I forgetting his name? Oh my gosh. What is Daredevil's like name?
Oh, I can't remember.
Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
I saw a photo. I literally saw a photo of Matt Murdock and Happy and May and Peter sitting like in the kitchen.
Bro, are you kidding me? You got
Yeah.
on that?
I will say that took me a moment he had to tell me it was Daredevil, because I was like, who is this guy again? Like, I know who he is, but then Jonathan was like, that's Daredevil. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
Our Peter went wild at just that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was I was watching it with like fucking super fans. I feel like because literally the second it wasn't even before you saw him. It was like when the cane went down, people like went fucking nuts. I was like whoa. I was like I mean I picked up on it too right when the cane got put down too. But like even then I was like I was not the first one to recognize it. Like people started clapping and screaming like right the millisecond you saw that fucking cane come down, people were like having heart attacks and shit, bro. Like
I think that happened the second time we watched it.
Yeah,
because the first time we watched it, I think some people were like, who's this guy again? But the second time we watched it, everybody was like, some dude was like screaming, clapping. I thought he was gonna like jump out of his seat.
Yeah, some dude was like a Daredevil super fan there.
Like he was having his own moment up there.
Went to see the movie just for the Daredevil
yeah
cameo. But it was a good cameo.
It was a good cameo. I appreciated it.
And I think that was probably what you guys were kind of referring to when you said like you didn't know how they got out of the immediate danger of that situation.
Yeah.
And that was like okay, so this is like I love seeing these big event movies like with like crowds. Like I love the crowd reaction. But that was like actually a situation where like it kind of fucked it up for me because everyone was screaming for the first like few seconds of him talking. I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. So like I didn't realize that he got like the case like dropped.
Literally.
From, like, Peter.
Yeah, I think that was the same issue for me, and that's why I was like, well, I guess the only con I can think of is that how the hell did they get out of being imprisoned?
Yeah.
I just thought like when I first saw it, like I was just like maybe like they're on like bail and like or some shit, you know, like
innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that the case had been completely dropped until I like read something online. Because I was just like trying to like make sure I had like all the bases covered with like my understanding of things.
Well, and I figured Matt Murdock of all people had to have gotten them out of it. I mean, he's a badass lawyer, so I figured. But
I also love
the general like, oh, innocent until proven guilty thought.
I love the whole like when he catches the rock.
The brick.
Yeah, the brick. It's a brick.
And it says like Mysterio was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm a really good lawyer.
Yeah.
Everyone laughed their asses off at that part too. Dude, one thing I'll definitely say about this movie, and we've already said it, but like you have to see it in theaters and you have to see it soon, because even going to see it twice, like the theater is just electric.
Oh yeah.
Like there are at least 5 or 6 moments of cheering throughout the movie.
Well, it took us like to watch it the second time round. It took us a while to find seats next to each other that were even decent ones.
Well, we had to look at like 6 or 7 different show times.
Yeah, to really pinpoint. And then we were like, oh, we got to do IMAX, so let's do IMAX. And thankfully they had seats available and stuff, and that was...
It wasn't completely full.
No,
actually,
it wasn't.
Surprisingly.
But it
was loud.
It was decently
Yeah.
full. But it was loud in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, IMAX is loud. Like, I guess that's one thing I want to ask you guys, like, what, because you have seen it twice and you saw it in two different formats, essentially. What was that kind of experience like on like an audio visual front? Like seeing it in IMAX versus not seeing it in IMAX?
I feel like you have to see it in IMAX.
You have to.
It's the image is it's more clear, it's sharper, the audio is way better than what you would get with seeing it just regular in a movie theater. Like I just felt like I felt like I was a part of the movie when I was watching it in IMAX because we were so engulfed in it pretty much because everything was like happening so loudly,
Like,
and
it
you could
sounds
see
like-
it so clearly too.
It sounds like marketing. Like it sounds like we're just marketing IMAX, but no, like legitimately, it is like 4K. It looks so clear.
Like 4K Ultra HD, like you could reach your hand out and touch Zendaya's hair. Like
Yeah.
it was mind blowing.
And
for
the
me.
shot, oh gosh, the shot of Tom Holland in the rain
Oh,
looked
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal. That was
incredible
a
in
piece
IMAX.
of artwork right there. Like
Literally.
Yeah,
It was
like
so good. In the audio, yes, it was booming, it was shaking, and really there's no other way to see it.
yeah.
You have
and
to
I
see
don't know, like just for people that maybe not, like I know a lot we throw around, you might see IMAX mentioned a lot, but I think some people don't know like what IMAX is actually like on a technical level. First off, the screen is way bigger, like huge. Yeah, huge. The sound is also like way more. Whatever sound is, it's like way better.
way deeper, bigger.
Yeah.
It's bigger sound.
But specifically, the one breakdown I can give is the actual like aspect ratio. Like whenever you watch a movie in theaters, usually it's a rectangle, right? The screen, whenever you go to a regular movie theater, it's a rectangle. But when you go to an IMAX theater, the format is actually like the screen is actually like a square. And what you're getting, like actually like in result of the picture is you're actually getting the full image that the camera that recorded the movie actually captured. What people don't realize with like when you watch a regular film, like a film in a regular theater screen, is you're actually losing the top like 15 and the top like in the bottom 15% of the actual image. But like with IMAX, you're actually getting the entire like image. You're getting the top and bottom 15% of the shot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, like that's how the movie is shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I just literally had.
You thought it was like HD.
I know. I thought it was,
yeah.
let's zoom in on it more. So I don't know what I was anticipating, to be honest, because like I've seen IMAX movies and stuff, but I just didn't think it was like the full camera lens of like what you see
Like,
in the camera
literally,
is
yeah.
what you're seeing on the screen.
How it was shot.
Yeah, that's
That's why Nolan is like always flexing IMAX.
And he's
Yeah.
like, go see the movie in theaters.
Yeah, for real.
Well, this is a movie you have to see in theaters.
And
you can't
We're gonna see it probably again.
again.
'Cause
Yeah.
You'll never get that experience again other than seeing it in theaters.
Mhm.
Like you even when you get it on 4K Blu-ray, you've got a nice TV at home. It just won't compare.
It's not. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do its justice when you're watching it at home. You have to see it in theaters.
I'm glad they did no streaming on this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I would not want to watch this movie in fucking at home.
Never.
Yeah.
No, you
Bro,
can't.
I watched Dune in IMAX, and then I tried watching it at home, and it was fucking disgusting watching it at home. So I was like, Jesus Christ, John, I have to watch this?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, no, I'm like I live where I live right next to this place called Arizona Mills, and it has the biggest IMAX screen, one in Arizona, but also has one of the bigger IMAX screens in the country. So like I've decided like after doing this, like I'm gonna watch all the like big quote unquote movies like Batman, as long as the reviews are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I want to travel to Arizona just to see Batman with you.
Just like
Literally.
Literally.
Oh, no. If we
Too
fall into a few grand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
never
no,
know.
like I
like
wanna.
$1,000.
Money comes and money goes.
The
It
only one thing is, did you guys IMAX screen? Did I have the reclining seats?
No.
Yeah, that's the one L. That's the one L. Even at mine, I was like,
The seats were not very comfy.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't
They weren't
bad.
They were okay, but they were there since like they were the same seats that I remember from like 2004.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Literally.
honestly, like it was, I had no issues once I was sitting down and watching that movie. I was like, that I'm not thinking about the seat.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was just engulfed in the movie.
Oh yeah, like I was worried I was genuinely gonna fall asleep, to be honest, because
Same.
I get sleepy being pregnant. I get so tired so quickly now that I was like, oh gosh, we're going to see it kind of late. The seats are so comfy the first time we saw it because they're recliner and stuff like that. But I was like, eyes wide open, like bloodshot, like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
It was
Like you couldn't fall asleep during a movie like that. No.
Yeah, and to that point, the pacing of the movie was absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like everything just
it's amazing.
and it's like you said, Ursula, the scope of this movie is ridiculous, and the amount of things they throw at you and the amount of stuff that's going on is just incredible. And the way that they're able to balance everything, dude, it's second to none.
Yeah,
This is comparable to an Avengers film, but I would argue that it's better than any of them. I would rate it higher than Endgame easily. In
Oh,
my
100%. I mean, I don't even think Endgame is the best Avengers movie, though.
I don't
Like,
think-
if I'm being
I thought Infinity War was the best.
Infinity War is pretty good.
yeah, Infinity War is the best.
I
hands
think
down.
Spider-Man, even though it's not even like part of Disney or anything like that, it's Sony, it's its own thing.
And this is
It was amazing. Like,
why I think this might be my favorite MCU film. Infinity War is also Infinity War and Endgame like combined, right? Are like also very big deal movies, right? Like you're bringing in dozens and dozens of characters and properties.
Right.
And but sorry, my cat just keeps meowing. Sorry, guys.
Nah.
For the listener, if you ever see me hesitate for a second or hear me hesitate for a second, it's because my cat's like going ape shit. But to me about this movie is like it is such a big scope movie, right? Like this is not just a culmination of like Tom Holland's arc up until this point. This is like a culmination of 20 years of movies.
Literally.
Like and it's that, but it's also like specifically like a Spider-Man movie. And it like very much like dives into like his character really well. You know, like like that's like one thing. Like I love Infinity War, right? That's before this, that was like probably my favorite MCU movie, right?
Same.
But like it didn't go like in depth for like a lot of these characters. A lot of the awesome factor of that movie is just all these characters just interacting with each other. It's not even like deep interaction. It's just these characters interacting with each other. But this movie like goes deep into like Spider-Man, and it kicks Spider-Man's fucking ass.
It
yeah,
does.
it does.
Like
It truly is one of those movies that's like a genuine roller coaster of emotions.
It's gritty.
You feel everything, like every kind of emotion that you can think of, you feel within this movie, whether you want to cry or you want to cry and smile.
Yeah.
Like you get it all. You get everything with this movie.
Ursula and I were talking about it. Like we had this huge, like ear to ear grin on our face the entire time.
Yeah.
yeah, the entire time I was like literally like I was either like screaming and cheering and like ferociously clapping my hands and yelling and shit, or or I was literally just sitting there like in awe, just like sitting there like smiling, like I'm like, what are they gonna do next?
Yeah.
like
And it's one of those movies too that like when you watch a movie and you get that goosebump feeling that you know you're never gonna get again with that watching it a second time, you get it the second time.
You
though.
still get it.
You
the second time.
100% get it the second time. When we saw Andrew and Toby come through the little portals that Ned did, goosebumps, like still like mind blown, like wasn't expecting that even watching it the second time.
One of the most mind-blowing parts of the movie, actually, to me, was literally the fight between Doctor Strange and Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It was
Yeah.
insane. The scope of that and the music too made it seem so much more badass.
Oh yeah.
Like,
He's
dude,
going through a twisting and turning city. Like the Grand Canyon is coming out of the New York City and all this crazy shit.
I
Like,
was thinking like Inception.
it was Inception crack.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
to a whole other level.
Absolutely ridiculous.
and you know the like
cinematography there, like you really don't. I feel like you don't talk about cinematography too much or give it much praise when it comes to MCU with how much CGI there is. But holy fuck, like this movie, I would give it praises for the cinematography of it. And there were real effects too. There were real explosions.
you know, and like that's actually one thing that I feel like I feel just like for how crazy this movie is, I feel like that scene is gonna completely fly under a lot of the conversation radar.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's so much crazy shit that happens after that.
Yeah.
That's like the end of like maybe that's probably like right before the halfway point of the movie, you know? Like
Yeah.
Maybe even before that. And
like
actually,
Act 1 almost.
Yeah, I think it was like almost in like Act 1.
Yeah, it's like end of Act 1,
Yeah.
essentially. But that's actually one thing I really like too, is like this movie after that fight, like really like focuses up on Spider-Man. Like Doctor Strange is out of it, and this is like completely a Spider-Man story, like pretty much after the first act, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and even like that fight scene is good. Honestly, all of the fight scenes are really good. Like that first opening fight with like Doc Ock and Spider-Man on the bridge, like it does a really smart job of like having there's like that point of tension with the school like the admissions counselor, like how he has to keep her alive essentially. And there's always like some really good like I feel like tension point, you know, throughout all these fights, like that Spider-Man has to like constantly balance. Then that was one thing actually. The only thing I didn't like about that Mirror World fight was like the math rules or whatever.
Oh yeah, I love that because it's still that reminder that he's a kid. He's still a teenager.
Yeah.
Also the reminder that Peter Parker's a genius.
Yeah, that he is genuinely.
That he beat Doctor Strange, bro.
He beat Doctor Strange in a fight.
How does that happen? It's Doctor Strange.
Literally.
Like that's
no. When he first took the magic box from Doctor Strange, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is where it happens. This is it.
Yeah.
Like the multiverse, it's all gonna happen. It was insane.
I think like the best thing overall throughout this movie was like when Toby and Andrew came into play, the redemption that was given to every character throughout, because Toby got his redemption with like Doc Ock and dealing with the Green Goblin and stuff like that. And then Andrew getting his redemption of like sadly him losing his MJ Gwen. He was able to get MJ and save her at the end of the day. And that like when that literally, it makes me want to cry right now thinking about it, because he was crying while holding MJ at the very end. And then Tom Holland Peter got his overall redemption, even though he basically lost everything too. It was just, I love the characters and the redemption that they were able to be given throughout all of it, because like I think Toby even said that this has been something that he's been thinking about for years, like with the Green Goblin and the cure and stuff like that, them figuring out the cures. That was their moment of like, I can fix what I started and what I did like earlier on and stuff. That was my big thing. My big takeaway from that whole movie was just the fact that everybody was able to get away with redeeming themselves as Spider-Man and as their own selves too, as Peter Parker.
And I love the direction the story takes once it focuses up, or like really the whole general plot of the film, like which I wouldn't have thought, like it's very like wholesome in a way, like he's not trying to like kick their asses at the end, he's trying to save them, you know? Like, and there's so many instances of this movie like really understanding, I feel like, the Spider-Man character, and it's like that is like what Spider-Man would try to do. He would try to save them, not just fucking beat them to like a fucking bloody pulp, which he does get close to doing, but that's like showing like you know, like they showed that as, and at the end of the movie as like, this is what you don't want to become, because Spider-Man's like always like, literally with great power comes fucking great responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, and we finally got that line in this movie too. And Aunt May, the MCU Aunt May, is Uncle Ben. Yeah.
Exactly. We got all the parallels that were missing from Homecoming and Far From Home. We finally got those universal parallels between the Spider-Men.
And we finally got the definitive that Tom Holland Peter Parker was bit by the spider too.
Yeah,
we
finally
said
mentioned
that after
finally actually said it in the movie.
Yeah, it was finally that significant, like, yes, I was after being bit by that spider.
Yeah, when he's talking to Zendaya,
like on FaceTime and stuff.
He's like, ever since I got bit by that spider. And I think that's the only time in the Spider-Man movies that ever said it.
Yep.
Like, if you were, honestly, you could skip Far From Home and Homecoming and just watch this one. Honestly.
Yeah, it is like, there's a lot of things like it. I feel like it could be viewed as a standalone film, but you also get so much more out of it. Like, especially if you watch all of the Spider-Man movies, like
literally
all of them.
Over 20 fucking years. That's insane.
That's what I don't get is how did the MCU like
how did Sony
figure this out? How did they get to come to be of like, okay, we're gonna take Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and their movies that they did and incorporated it into this Tom Holland Peter Parker too, like
wizardry.
How long? Like, I just don't understand how they were able to come up with something.
The crazy part now is Spider-Man 2002 is now the first MCU movie.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
And that's crazy. Insane. It's crazy to think about because it's literally 20 years in the making that you don't think about, but now it's like
this movie literally expanded the timeline in real life of the MCU.
Yeah, literally. And it really did solidify the multiverse as well as like multiverse is real, multiverse is a thing. Don't know exactly the concept of it completely, but they're trying to figure it out. And I'm just mind blown.
I was totally mind blown watching this.
I was shooketh.
Did you guys expect Aunt May to die?
No.
Even literally, like, after she first got up and she's like, "Oh, we're okay.
I'm just gonna catch my breath."
But like,
yeah, in that moment, I was thinking, I was like,
Peter kept looking down, like expecting to see something, like, but she was covering her stomach. The classic movie move. That's a classic movie thing.
But I think
stabbed in the stomach and covering it, like Squid Game does it.
I think if you were like a true Spider-Man person, though, you would have almost expected that to happen because Uncle Ben dies in the Tobey Maguire one. You have MJ, quote unquote, Gwen dying
and Uncle Ben.
And Uncle Ben. I think you're right. In the Andrew Garfield one. And now it's full circle. It's Aunt May. Like, it's the full circle of everybody pretty much dying, which is sad, but it's like, it's a part of who these characters
Spider-Man.
are. Yeah, it's a part of who they are and like, why they are the way they are.
That's like, see, like, to me, I feel like first of all, when that happened, when she gets like blown back by the glider, right? I thought she was dead there. But when she got, and then the bomb too blows up and then she got up after that. And I was like, Marvel, you gotta commit.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Like, and then it happened.
Like, I was sad that she was gonna die, but like, I agree. I was hoping that they'd have the balls to just show that.
Yeah.
May.
And that was like one of the times where like where Tom Holland's acting was the best too. Like it was like devastating. Like it was super sad. And I mean, like, I remember the one thing I kept thinking about when I was watching this trilogy is why did they decide to make Aunt May like a babe? Like,
yeah, I guess for the romantic aspect between Happy and her.
But like, I'm just thinking about the Aunt May from
Toby, yeah.
And I'm thinking about the Aunt May from the video game, actually.
Yeah.
Feast, you know?
Yeah, like, and Feast is in this.
I know.
Yeah.
I loved seeing that because I was like, because I think Feast was from the game. Is it in the Tobey Maguire film?
No,
or,
it's not, because
think so.
they didn't do anything with that. No.
Or if it is in there, then it's not like stressed. But yeah, they took something from the game.
Yeah.
There's
Like,
Tom
holy
Holland
shit.
also said that there's like a move from the game, like that they was in the movie that they took from the game, but I don't remember like what that could have been, like what move
I don't know.
he
I'm
stole
not sure.
from.
'Cause Spider-Man does a lot of things.
Oh,
Is
he
it
Yeah.
like the twisting? Is it the twisting with the legs separated in the air? Like,
I have no
I
idea.
have no idea.
but that's like a Miles thing.
Well, and then like speaking of like Miles, it's like when Jamie Foxx, Electro or whatever, was like, I was thinking you were gonna be
Yeah.
a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
We thought there was gonna be a Miles cameo.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's what I was expecting.
Thinking that too. Like I was like, okay, if he's thinking of like a Black Spider-Man, then like got to think of Miles Morales.
And I'm gonna jump in right there because that is the one plot hole I noticed.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange was like, the people that came through are the ones who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But
Yeah.
Electro never knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. That's literally that whole line is like about, you know?
Oh,
I never realized that. Yeah.
Because he's like, I thought you would be black. Because he didn't know that he was
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
he was
So how
like,
did he come through? It
did.
was like, it's a plot hole. Like,
Yeah,
but-
that is. I guess that is the one plot hole.
Yeah.
And they did
That's
it for like almost comedic. It was kind of comedic, but also to like Miles, like giving
yeah.
like, wow, yeah.
Well, I also felt like
I never realized that, but that's a definite plot hole.
I feel like Dr.
Small one.
Connors
Small one
too,
for the scope.
the whole like Dr. Connors thing, the lizard guy, like I almost felt like he wasn't necessary
100%.
because he really
You're
did
100% right.
give a whole lot
Yeah.
in that.
I
There was
thought
this like moment where because Andrew Garfield was like, I already cured you, I can do it again. So I was like, what?
Well, and he was trying to be cured.
No, he wasn't. He wanted to be the way he was. And then at the very end, he transitioned back into a human or whatever after he like bit the cure, and it was done. It was like that was it. There was no other.
that was really the only like thing. Like if you really want to get into like issues with the movie, like I feel like you have to do a little bit of like mental hand waving with like the exact specifics of like the rules of like why they're there.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, like yeah, like the whole like Electro thing. Like he didn't know who Peter Parker was. And like they were saying, at least I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man in a minute, but I feel like Dr. Connors doesn't die. Right? He doesn't die in
No,
Amazing.
He does. He got cured.
Yeah, I think he's one of the
so
that didn't die.
yeah. I really thought that.
No, but he actually asks. He asks in the chamber or whatever when they're all trapped. Yeah, in the dungeon. He's like, "Wait, do I die?" And no one answers.
Oh.
So
Interesting. Well, like
the
Electro
Electro thing is definitely. I didn't think about that.
I didn't think about that either.
But like with the scope of this movie, I'm not even gonna fault it really for that.
Yeah.
Because Electro was a badass in this movie. So
yeah. The two weak pieces, the whole puzzle were definitely Sandman and the Lizard. You know, like they're the ones that like were clearly not as much of a focus. I wish they had a sixth at the end of the day because they were so close to having like an impromptu six. Yeah, there's only 5 though. You know,
they could have brought in Rhino. Rhino would have been easy to bring in.
Or I mean, from what I was expecting it to be, I thought it was gonna be Venom.
I thought Venom was gonna. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah,
yeah.
I genuinely thought. I mean, they talked about him because he's like Toby was like, oh yeah, I fought that
alien from space.
Alien black goo thing.
Yeah.
But
that was like the most fucking roundabout way to get the symbiote into the MCU. Like that was the most extra way imaginable. Like I was like, okay, me and John like hinted, like kind of mentioned this to each other before this. Like we said this last night to each other, bro. Fuck, let there be carnage. Fuck, let there be carnage.
Bad.
No, it really is
pointless.
It is a stupid, pointless movie. Like I never really thought about it until after watching this. I was like, Oh, there really was no point in Venom whatsoever.
And the end credit scene, what the movie was made for, what it felt like to me the movie was made for, it was just another end credit scene.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even in it. He was just in a bar talking to a dude.
That's
Like, what a weird way to get the, like, literally, like, they literally, these two, this little whole Venom thing took up 2 end credit scenes in movies. It took up an end credit scene in Venom, and it took up an end credit scene in this movie. And it was all just to get him into the MCU for 5 minutes and take him out just so they could leave the black goo. Which, I'll say this, I'm glad that that's how it went, because okay, let me try to break this down. This whole decision makes me hate Let There Be Carnage way more. But for like the general storytelling, I would rather have had this happen than Venom show up in this movie. Because like I said before, like when we reviewed Let There Be Carnage, the reason Venom's storyline is so good is because it's so intertwined with Spider-Man's. So if he just showed up at the end of this and Tom Holland has no idea who the fuck this guy is and they're just fighting, it's like if there's any character that I feel like needs to really be intertwined with Spider-Man, or that like iteration of Spider-Man, it has to be Venom. Like, you can get away with like bringing in like a Green Goblin and a Doc Ock from another universe, but like Venom, I feel like you have to go through the black suit first before you have him facing Venom. That's my thought behind it, at least.
That's what I would think too. Just, I mean, with how Spider-Man 3 went too.
Well, wasn't that all about like the vengeance that Tobey Maguire was feeling? Or am I completely wrong? That could be totally wrong.
The black suit?
Yeah, the black suit. Like, I thought the black suit with Tobey Maguire was like the bad side, the evil side, essentially.
Well, that's what it turned him into, but like I don't know where exactly it came from.
What, the black suit?
Yeah.
The black in the Tobey movie?
Yeah.
It comes from space.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I guess I never picked up on that.
And like that's where it like it like always it either comes from space or it comes from Oscorp.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Which in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I think that was what was gonna happen before obviously they didn't make a third one. But that's like the one of 2 places it all comes from. But I guess from now it comes from a different universe.
Yeah.
But I'm retroactively changing my score on Let There Be Carnage. I gave that movie a very generous 4.5 out of 10.
I was surprised with your score, Ursula. I was genuinely, with how much of a movie buff you are, I was genuinely surprised with your score.
I am retroactively changing that movie score to a 2.0.
That seems way more sufficient, I would think.
So now I would keep mine as a 3 probably. So that would bring the ControllerCast rating of Let There Be Carnage to a 2.5. But what would you give it out of 10, babe?
Honestly, I feel like I couldn't rate it because it was such a forgetful movie for me.
That movie was shit.
Like, the only thing that I remember so vividly from Let There Be Carnage was the end credit scene where Venom is like, Spider-Man. Like, that's it. That's all I got from that entire movie. And I'm like, even then literally. It was like, oh, okay.
And then also, Let There Be Carnage.
Oh, yeah. I don't.
They had to say the title of the movie.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, I really feel like I couldn't give it a good scoring because it was so forgetful for me.
Well, then,
really
0.5.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the ultimate like summation of like the quality of the Spider-Man property. The worst thing I saw this year was something Spider-Man related. The best thing I saw this year was something Spider-Man related, which is super funny. We haven't talked about this yet, but the villains, like, I think Green Goblin like fucking steals the show here.
Oh yeah,
Willem Dafoe is ridiculous.
He does an amazing job at playing 2 people at one time.
He's scarier than the Green Goblin of the Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Exact same. He hasn't aged a day.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like, what's going on there?
That smile, dude. William Dafoe's smile
and
is
his laugh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you always know it's Green Goblin when it's his laugh, when he starts laughing. And that's what I appreciated from it.
He's so badass.
Mhm.
Like that's also like a crazy thing. It's like we just got the best the best Green Goblin performance. Like this is better than the one from fucking 2002.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like
that's
Doc
crazy.
didn't really.
I thought Doc Ock had a
Doc
pretty good
Ock did a
performance.
great job performing wise, but I feel like he didn't do a whole lot.
Well, he was fixed so soon.
Yeah, he was fixed, like cured so quick.
I enjoyed that he was the one that like saved them at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was really
I like
really
that
nice.
too.
Yeah,
I really like
I
that because
enjoyed that.
because Doc Ock was never a bad guy in general. Like
it was just a chip that was like fried and put into his neck for the tentacles, and the tentacles then became him. The tentacles were taking over his life essentially.
exactly. Like he might not have had the best intentions, but it really was at the end of the day the tentacles that made him a bad person.
Yeah, and it was that the redemption of him being able to be
the
like
villains got redeemed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The villains and all the Spider-Man.
Everybody got redeemed in some way. And that's
Even
what
like
I love so much about this is the redemption of all, because it's a kick-ass superhero movie for sure, but just the overall redemption of everything.
I want an Amazing Spider-Man 3 now.
Yeah. I've seen that on Twitter that everyone's like, bring back Andrew as Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I love how like Andrew Garfield is just so different as a Spider-Man from Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire.
And even Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire kind of treat Andrew as Spider-Man as the odd man out a little bit.
He kind of he gives off that vibe. Well, he's like, I love you guys. And they're like, thank you.
That was actually one of the only lines where I was like with the like I love you guys. Like I felt like that was like a little too like lovey dovey, like kind of like out of the blue. But like I appreciate the hug that they had at the end more than him just being like, I love you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that was like one of the few moments where I was like kind of thinking about like the quote unquote comedy or whatever of the situation. But
the Sandman, I thought he was pretty good comedic relief. Like when he was wiping shit off the couch.
Oh yeah.
It kept filling because he's just sand. I
love that. Like I love the spider sense scene in the apartment.
Oh, when he gets the
shot.
Yeah.
Like just the way it's shot and it's like following Peter and you see everybody.
Well, it was almost like Doc Ock knew too, because they both started looking at the Green Goblin, like William Dafoe, as he was walking away towards the like Stark, the dummy is what it's called, that robotic arm.
Mm-hmm.
He started walking away, and then it was like Doc Ock and Spider-Man both knew something was about to happen with him, and then he was like,
and then we hear the classic Peter.
Yeah. On sabbatical right now.
He's on a sabbatical.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no.
Oh, so bad.
The only one that doesn't get redeemed, I feel like, is Electro. I feel like he's kind of just loses.
But he turns into like a really hot dude. Like he gets
that's his redemption.
He gets his redeeming qualities back in the sense that he's a good-looking guy, because he was
a bomb loser in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, like I think that counts for something.
Yeah,
I do like I like in the I want to also like talk about, like you were talking about like the redemption and closure, like how we get like genuine like just conversation time with like Toby and Andrew. Like the lab, and like how they're like mentoring him at the top of the like when like when he's crying after like Aunt May's dead, and they're like consoling him essentially. Like all those scenes were like, I'm so glad they're in the movie.
I know.
Like I really thought that it was just going to be a final battle thing where Toby and Andrew are only in it for the final battle, but they literally help him through the toughest times that he's been through, because they've been through it as well.
Yeah, and like at the very end when Toby Spider-Man goes and is stopping Peter Parker at the very end,
yeah,
lighter, I'm
so badass.
And then he gets stabbed. I'm like, he's like, I got stabbed before.
I got stabbed before.
Yeah, okay. That was the second like moment I was thinking of. It was like, in fact, so like I heard that the movie had like reshoots like for that final battle. And I feel like that's one of those moments where maybe they weren't sure on whether to commit to like killing Toby Because I almost feel like that was like a potential. I thought that was gonna happen. Like I feel like maybe you guys thought the same, you know?
I thought
I
the same
genuinely,
initially.
and it made me even more sad because earlier in the lab, Toby was like, I got my MJ essentially. Like
I
it
got my
worked
shit
out.
together.
He like they figured it out and that was nice knowing that MJ and Toby Peter worked out at the end of things and
They got their shit together.
they got their shit together and it was
It would have been very ballsy to kill
If
off
they
Tobey
killed-
Maguire's Spider-Man
yeah.
and that. Bring him back and kill him.
yeah, just like that.
Oh yeah, they would. I think they learned their lesson with the Star Wars movies. Like they're not gonna do
I'm
that shit.
glad that they didn't kill him.
Yeah, like everyone got their happy ending, and yeah, like specifically like Andrew got like such a huge redemption in this film because like, I mean, he's like kind of always viewed as like the shitty middle child of like the Spider-Man movies. That his movies
Yeah.
are like not the like are the worst received. That he didn't get a full trilogy, and they kind of like meta kind of like jump on that like oh like I'm just lame like I just fought a dude in a fucking like rhino outfit well like
Yeah.
and but then like Toby's like you're amazing
You're amazing.
I thought that was
Say it.
funny.
You're amazing.
yeah and like how we do get like a you know it does feel like a proper like follow-up to those films you know because it's like Andrew gives like an update on like how he's become kind of like a shittier Spider-Man you know like or not a shittier but like a darker Spider-Man he said like he's not holding his punches back like
Yeah.
and we get that like amazing scene with him catching MJ like which we mentioned earlier
It
which is
makes
like
me want to cry every time because it's like he's been dealing with so much grief and guilt about not being able to catch her, and now he was able to get somewhat of that closure.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that so much for him. Like,
Yeah, that was a really cool moment.
it was nice
And
seeing
then
that
Toby-
character development so quickly.
Toby and Doc Ock got to, you know, have
yeah Peter
Yeah.
you're growing up or whatever you're growing up
yeah, it was just
It makes me want to cry just like thinking about
just
it.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Speaking
It's
of
so
moments
well done.
that make me want to cry, I'll talk about that. The like the scene that I constantly think about that like gets me super emotional with this film. And um that is the donut shop scene at the very end of the movie.
Oh gosh.
Dude,
That
I
scene-
actually did cry at that
I
point.
started tearing up at that point too.
The second time.
Because Peter
Like-
lost everything.
Yeah.
It's
And yeah, like and like kind of I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but like I feel like the best Spider-Man stories that really bring the essence of like Peter Parker and Spider-Man out are like the ones where he gets his fucking just shit rocked. Like
Yeah.
if you look at some of these stories, right? Like Amazing Spider-Man 2, like when Gwen Stacy dies at the end, you know, like that's a big pivotal moment. When Uncle Ben dies, that's a big deal. When in the video games, when he has to literally choose between saving the city or curing Aunt May at the very end, like of you know the Spider-Man 2018 game,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like uh he's like you know he's like constantly like back up against the wall. Like you guys seen Spider-Man 2 recently, right? Like
Yeah.
the Tobey one. Bro, that whole movie is him getting his fucking shit rocked. Like
Literally.
in the most like tiniest of ways. It's just like tiny shit constantly bubbling up, losing his job, getting slapped in the face out of like his fucking like love of his life, getting married to someone else. Like that movie is just his getting his shit rocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this movie's thing for that is literally everyone forgetting who Peter Parker is. Like which is so fucking like and yeah, it's heartbreaking. Like and that scene in the donut shop at the end is like so beautiful. Like that he sees that they're like happy. Like or like that their life is good. Like that they got into MIT
Yeah.
and like and that their life is amazing without him and like he realizes that like if he tells them and brings them back like brings them back into his life that he's just endangering them again like and like he even like you know and it kind of like you know when she like fixes her hair and she sees like the band-aid and she's like it doesn't hurt anymore or whatever
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
and-
s- yeah.
And she's still wearing the necklace too, the
yeah
Dahlia necklace.
And you
Yeah.
see
wearing
you
it.
see Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, come to that moment of realization, like, wow, all right. Like,
Yeah.
I never expected that level of acting from Tom Holland.
But
Yeah.
still ends with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
Yeah.
he still ended walking into his 1-bedroom, crappy New York apartment
without May there.
without anybody. He still had that sense of, like, I don't even know. Like,
He's just like,
he's still
I've
happy.
got stuff to live for.
Yeah, he's got his own things that
Yeah.
he needs to live for now.
And I feel
he's
like
knowing those the people he loved most are happy or without him in that regard.
So deep.
and
like-
the baseline, I feel like the baseline like mood for these movies is always like kind of like happy, goofy, right? So like
Yeah.
when he like walks in and like she's like, "Oh, like what do you want?" Like, or like what can I get you? And he's just like, "I would like a coffee." And like, and I was at that moment I was kind of like, "Oh, like, you know, that's kind of like a funny line, you know?" And like through the progression of that scene to being like so fucking heartbreaking, like when he's just like there's just that shot of him like, yeah, like that moment of like realization, you know, like when he
tears up a little bit.
Yeah, you
yeah,
can
yeah,
tears welling in his eyes when he's
Yeah.
about to leave.
And she's like, anything else? And he's
Yeah.
like, he rolls up the piece of paper,
Yeah.
eyes bring up,
puts it in his pocket.
and he's like, nope, that's it. Thank you so much. Like,
Mhm.
yeah. That is like, bro, that's like one of my favorite scenes in like a movie ever. That's not even a comic book movie thing. That's like I've been thinking about that scene like for the past fucking 72 hours. Like that scene is so amazing. Like I'm still like that was so ballsy too. Like
shook
could-
about it.
and they could have like 100% like made it like, oh, I'm gonna like literally like the original plan. I'm gonna find you again and I'm gonna tell you. And you know that could still happen, like because there's gonna be more Spider-Man movies, obviously. Like and
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Spider-Man.
You can't
like-
like
But how are
And,
they going to top themselves?
I don't know
yeah,
how they top
they're yeah. If they top themselves, like they're not. It's all downhill. Yeah, like but like and MJ and Ned, like they can totally like come back into the story, because the future of Spider-Man is like fucking. They can do anything honestly after this film. Like, but the I don't even know why it was like. There's something so heartbreaking to me, at least, about like it's not even like they died, right? It's literally that like all of their memories as like the best of friends is just gone. Like they don't remember who he is. Like he like that's the crazy part. They don't.
He remembers everything and they don't remember shit.
know.
Happy doesn't remember anything.
Oh yeah, the ending scene with Happy and Peter, and they're talking at May's.
Doctor Strange
Graveyard.
doesn't know who he is.
Yeah, like I was like thinking about. I was like, bro, like what if like even like us like just ran into like, you know, I kept our memories, you know, and like you guys were like who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
If you place yourself in his shoes, it's like it's even more saddening.
Yeah,
Well,
because he
Like the end when you saw him, he had that GED study book. It's like he has to go back and redo everything because he's completely forgotten from the world, and he has to make
Yeah.
his name again. Like when he's carrying the box into his apartment,
Oh, I didn't.
and he had
catch
that.
that.
Yeah, he had the GED.
yeah, he
study.
had a GED like study book because
Yeah.
he has to go to probably like community college now or something,
Yeah.
you know, like he's not going to MIT.
Restart everything because he doesn't.
And like and he's the only one that can bear the weight of that. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like that like it always like I think I saw something where it's like when Spider-Man wins, Peter Parker loses. Like and
I think that's the kind of theme of the comics too, even.
yeah, like it's all like literally with great power comes great responsibility. Like it's not like, and I feel like it took like a different meaning with like even like Aunt May saying it in this movie because it's like it's not just like being a good superhero. It's like you have to like make some tough fucking decisions that are like not in your benefit as a person at all. Like
Right.
like and that's like, you know, like even like what Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is about, like where he's just like, I don't want to do that. Like I want to just be like a human being, you know? And that's why I like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man too a lot. But and I love that that's like the message that like carried through this film because that's like I feel like the heart of Spider-Man. like he has like the world always against him, but he's like always so selfless, you know?
And he's so
And like,
positive. He even smiles, like you
Yeah.
said, Casey. He smiles at the end of it. At the end of it all, right before he swings off and it rolls into the credits.
yeah.
It's just crazy to me.
And I had you guys watch that final swing in Amazing Spider-Man because
Yeah.
this is also like a nitpick. I thought the final swing in this movie was shitty.
I agree. I
Yeah.
felt like they totally could have done more.
But with the tone of it, I thought it was. I actually didn't think that at all. I thought with the tone of it that it was just like a simple
Somber.
swing. Yeah, somber.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I was like, wait, I was like, bro, they have the opportunity to make like the most goated final swing in like a Spider-Man like movie.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that, but now that you say it, yeah, they could have
Like,
done.
I mean, like that Toby one, or not Toby, that Andrew one. Like, I don't even love Amazing Spider-Man 1, but that final swing, like when he's like that final shot of him shooting the web out, like, or
Yeah.
yeah, or even like in Toby's Spider-Man 1, like when he's like, you know, that iconic shot of Spider-Man like on the Empire State Building with the American flag, like super patriotic.
But instead, it was just him swinging by the Rockefeller Christmas tree because it's
Yeah, and then even in the like
around Christmas.
Yeah.
even in like Miles, I don't remember if there was a final swing in Spider-Man 2018, but I remember in Miles Morales, they definitely both him and Peter had that final like
Yeah,
moment where they swing together and then they like both kind of like the Andrew Garfield, they like aim towards the screen and it like slows down and then it like cuts away.
yeah. Credits.
So like that was like a small nitpick of mine where I was like, oh yeah, they could have had like a goated fucking like insane like a crazy ass like
loaded movie.
I know, right? Like, but like that's such a small nitpick because this movie lands. That finale is so amazing. Like that, I know I keep saying like the ending is so fucking good, but it really is.
It really is, and just like the final fight down to just the conversations after the final fight are absolutely. It's just all. It's the most depth I think we've seen in an MCU movie or a Spider-Man movie.
I agree.
Do you
It's ridiculously good.
did you like one thing I thought was interesting was how the world forgot about Peter Parker but not Spider-Man
Yeah.
because did you guys catch like when he's talking to Happy and he's like, oh, how'd you meet her? Through Spider-Man? And it's like,
Well, even
So-
like J. Jonah Jameson was like, we saw the fiasco that happened at the Statue of Liberty. Spider-Man needs to come and like reveal himself and stuff like that. I think it was also cool seeing his evolution too. Of he was in an office, green
oh
screen,
yeah.
and now he's in this whole huge Daily Bugle, big time networking, like producing show and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool too, seeing him. And he's been the exact same person too. Like the exact same actor has been playing him,
Yeah.
which
And he
has been
stays in the universe, you know, like he's just
Yeah.
like the one constant.
yeah, he's the only constant that's been there is he's been that asshole trying to make Spider-Man be the number one enemy, public enemy.
Yeah, but
And, like-
it's sad. I mean, it's what Peter wanted.
Yeah.
It's what he had asked for, but it just ended off.
Could you guys spot like any of the characters that were supposed to be coming
Yes.
through that multiversal
I
tear?
saw Rhino,
Yeah.
very because I saw his like horn or whatever, and I was like, that's Rhino. And then I saw a Scorpion dude. I
Yeah.
don't know what that has to play in though. Not sure.
Supposedly,
I was looking for the Watcher, but I didn't see the
Yeah.
Watcher.
oh, I I didn't spot anyone, but I supposedly like because I don't know why like I couldn't spot anyone, but like I think what the characters are supposed to be are like I think Kraven the Hunter, Rhino, and like Scorpion. So you're pretty. I mean, Casey, you got two of
I
them.
got
two
I got two of them. I'll take that
Yeah.
for what it is because I saw, but that was my second time around seeing it. The first
Yeah.
time around, I did not get it.
I was just looking for the Watcher
Yeah,
I was looking for like Miles or some shit like that.
or Miles.
I was waiting to see. Yeah, I was waiting to see like Miles fucking like swinging around the galaxy or something in the background, and there was nothing. But
Across the Spider-Verse.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. See, and now I'm wondering what they're gonna do with Across the Spider-Verse.
There's so many different ways that they can
could
go about this.
They could bring in the video game Spider-Man people. They could bring in Toby and
because the
Andrew
multiverse, you don't know the multiverse. There's no definitive definition of the multiverse. Like even
Everything is canon.
Has no idea the concept of the multiverse.
They can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one thing I like that I feel like them, like Marvel, like responding to the criticism is like really well was like, you know, like I feel like with the past two Spider-Man movies, some people had the like criticism with them that like it didn't feel like a true version of Spider-Man because like he was kind of like a protege of Iron Man and wasn't like going through the struggles of like, you know, like what Toby or Andrew, like kind of like the everyday layman like Spider-Man. You know, that's like I think why a lot of people like Spider-Man is like he's so down to earth.
Yeah.
But like the MCU Spider-Man was like going to space and had $1 million suits and all this shit like that. And I love that like by the end of this movie, he is like the Spider-Man we all like know.
Yeah.
You know? He is that.
I agree.
He like
I was trying to figure out the significance of him sewing his own suit, but that's it.
Yeah. Like he is that broke kid that has experienced loss at this point, major loss.
Everything.
He is
ass ending.
Yeah, bro, he's Spider-Man by the end of this movie. He comes in Spider-Boy, he is Spider-Man by the end of this fucking film.
Literally.
And what is it? One thing I also wanted to kind of touch on that I thought was an amazing positive was like how, like, you know, like how well it balanced all the characters and also like the relationship between the three, like Ned, MJ, and Peter.
Yeah.
Like this movie really doesn't get lost in the weeds with all of its characters, which I really, really appreciate.
Literally everyone is explained, everyone's intentions are clear, everyone is in it for Peter. Like it's just so well done.
I thought it was hilarious when Ned was talking to Toby Peter Parker and Andrew Peter Parker and was like, do you guys have a best friend? And Toby's like, yeah.
That was actually a funny
moment. He tried to kill me.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then at the end, like Ned's like, I will never try and kill you and stuff. And I'm like, I appreciate that because that's pretty funny. And like how Ned has like the cape came after him.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was dope. And that was like, ooh, what is that like foreshadowing in a sense? Because Doctor Strange went up to Ned and was like, you opened up a portal? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? And like Ned's grandma is like, we've got magic in us. And
yeah,
I don't know. There's just a lot of different things because MCU does that shit on purpose for a reason.
On
wonder. So
everything's very calculated.
Yeah.
Looking to like the future, like where do you think like Spider-Man in the movies like is like where do you think things are going to go next from here? Because like I feel like I don't know if you guys remember, but after Far From Home, Sony and Disney's deal like fell through, and this movie wasn't actually even going to be made. It was gonna like the Tom Holland film was just gonna go like or Tom Holland character was just gonna go back to like not interacting with the MCU at all, which and so the deal completely fell through. And I feel like I wonder if they like kind of wiped him from the MCU almost, or like kind of brought him back to like ground level because now one, I don't know if maybe they didn't know if like he would be staying in the MCU after this.
Yeah.
But also like I'm trying to figure out like the way to describe it. Like, but also now, like I don't know, I feel like it's almost like a clean slate. Like it feels like this was like all like these three movies was like one contained story. Like this feels like his origin trilogy almost, you know?
No, I definitely could see that. Yeah. I never really thought about that in that regard, and I think that's a great way to put it in a sense is that this is like a clean slate for him almost. I don't know. I never thought about it like that. That's crazy
like,
to even like comprehend something like that for this kind of a movie. Is it being like kind of like the start of what's to come?
I feel like they're not going to revisit Spider-Man for a little while now.
John, what do you think his future? Do you think like he'll be detached from the MCU now? Like, or do you think like how do you think they'll bring him back in? Do you think they'll bring him back in like to like the grander schemes? Like, what do you think the future of like Spider-Man is now in the MCU?
I hope they bring him back in because I love Spider-Man and I love the MCU, but I honestly think that this was it. I think it was a perfect way to end it. I think it's, if anything, they might bring in like Miles potentially, but I know that Casey said that Tom
I just
Holland.
want to say that they Kevin Feige did confirm that Spider-Man 4 is being made.
Oh, well, there we go.
See, I figured this isn't going to be the end of Spider. There's no possible way. Yes, this was an amazing, phenomenal piece of art, cinema, but there's still so many unanswered questions in the same regard from this movie.
I feel like this was like just the start, almost.
No, that's exactly how I feel. Is like this was
his true origin story.
Yeah, that's what Ursula was saying. Like this is that number
this
one.
This is his origin trilogy.
Oh my gosh, I can never say
trilogy.
Trilogy. I can never.
You always say trilogy. Trilogy.
That I definitely can see it going into something bigger and better and more badassery, to be honest, where this multiverse stuff could just open up so many different doors for what's to come.
I want to see the video game Spider-Man characters in the MCU. That is the next step, I feel like.
It's funny because I feel like Spider-Man is like the multiversal superhero. Like,
honestly, though.
Because there's so many, like, he's taken on so many different forms in general. Like throughout, and there's a Black Spider-Man, there is Miles, there's Peter Parker as Spider-Man, there's
even Spider-Man 2099.
I didn't know Spider-Man 2099 was a thing, or I think I've heard you mention it before, but
yeah, and even the Spider-Man cartoons in the 90s, like that was a plot point about how there's Spider-Man from multiple dimensions and they all teamed up. Like so, Spider-Man, like multiple Spider-Man and all this stuff has been like a reoccurring plot point in like Spider-Man's history. So it's pretty fitting that he like kind of was one of the first like multiverse movies, or maybe the first one, like for this new phase of the MCU. Let's see. But yeah, so do you think they will do you think that he will be like do you think like MJ will be back? Do you think?
I hope so.
Now that you know that they are making a fourth one.
Yeah, well, now that I know they are making a fourth one, I guess they'll probably figure out a way to get everything back to sort of the way it was. But like, just what they did with this movie was so ballsy. I almost hope that they don't. I wouldn't mind a more grounded Spider-Man.
And maybe that's how they're going to keep it, is MJ goes off to MIT along with Ned, like they're trying to get to Boston and stuff like that. And maybe Peter Parker just realizes that his job is that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, like what he's always set out to do in the first place.
But then again, the MCU does some crazy shit, and they pull off things that I never would have expected.
That is true.
So
this is like what this is what I realized when I was watching like Homecoming and Far From Home, is like I feel like Spider-Man works in like the New York setting and like that more smaller scale setting. That's why I didn't like Far From Home as much, because it didn't really feel like Spider-Man.
I agree.
That's why I liked Homecoming a lot. It was so like on the ground feeling, It felt like a friendly neighborhood.
That true neighborhood feel.
Yeah.
But I hope they maintain that for future movies. But like maybe if they bring him back into bigger MCU events, like that's fine. Like honestly, I thought everything was fine. I just thought him being so. I thought Far From Home was just a bit of a misstep with like how they handled the character. I think if they keep like his main movies to like stuff that's like just New York, more like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and then like for the big MCU event films, like he comes back for those, obviously, I think that would be fantastic. I would love for Ned and MJ to come back at some point in the future, because like I feel like those three are like a really good combo.
They are.
But also I could see I've seen some people mention this where like now they're like done. like they're like out of the story, and like now maybe if they do like a college trilogy, it's gonna be like Harry Osborn and like Gwen Stacy, and like like or like it'll be like a new group of friends essentially, that Peter is in.
Interesting.
I could see that.
I could see that, but Zendaya, man.
Yeah, I know. That's literally what I was like. I want Zendaya.
Ned, because Ned and all of this, like
because they
the
introduced the
magical
magic
stuff, like there's got to be something that comes to play with that. Like what I'm thinking is like something comes to happen where Ned finds like Doctor Strange in a sense, and Peter Parker somehow falls into that too. And like, I don't know, the MCU could really go so many different ways.
I would love if MJ found out like again, like she was able to like
figure it
cut
out
through the spell or something, like
Well, the fact that she was still wearing the Black Dahlia, the broken Black Dahlia necklace, to me, that like signifies that she remembers something. Like, and
the way she looked at him, it almost
Peter,
seemed like
people have said
like,
that too, where she maybe gets like a weird feeling like about
and
it.
maybe it's a love at first sight kind of feeling, or maybe it's like maybe she knows
because like
deep down.
I could have seen her having that moment because Ned was walking in, but Ned walked in like a few minutes after,
or a few seconds
after that whole like those two making eye contact and stuff. Like there's something that has to keep going with MJ and Peter Parker.
I feel like they won't do
Zendaya
a new
and Tom
group
Holland.
of friends.
I hope they don't, because I think these guys killed it.
It's like a double-edged sword for me, because I feel like if they bring them back into the fold, it will like kind of take away from the consequence and like impact of the ending of this film. But I also want them to come back because they're all really good.
Yeah,
exactly. This film had consequence, no doubt.
Like I been like watching interviews and stuff like that with them, and the fact that they're able to portray, it's good acting when you are sitting there and you are on the edge of your seat and you're like so like just engulfed in what's going on. That acting is like top notch, and they did that. They understood the assignment for sure.
They
when it
definitely
came
did.
to this, and that's why I don't think
they brought their A game.
They did, and I don't think they can find any other replacements really that can top them.
It's just, this movie was just so good.
It was amazing.
I wonder what's up with like like every single Spider-Man and the love interest live action, they always end up dating in real life.
I know.
What the heck?
Okay, but Tom Holland and Zendaya are a cute couple.
They are.
Yeah.
I like the chemistry on screen that they can have, and the chemistry off screen too is nice. But like
maybe they do that to get that real genuine connection in the Spider-Man movies.
Maybe.
Or do they end up dating after the Spider-Man movies?
They date after. They like I don't think none of them come into it dating, but they come out of it dating.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I don't know. Something about
every single one.
Something about the Spidey sensualism.
I also forget that Tom Holland has like a British accent and stuff like that.
I always forget.
Because he does an amazing job with like the American English accent. He's a great job at it. And I'm like, how like, you're that good of an actor when you literally forget that this person has a freaking accent.
Yeah, like most of his roles, he has the American accent.
Yeah, like the Uncharted trailer that we watched.
Yeah.
He had the American accent. And
but we know that will not top this movie.
Yeah, duh. No way.
Tom Holland is just a Sony slave right now. Just getting tossed around between Sony Pictures films.
Literally. A PlayStation picture film.
He took off. Like I
respect that he's had multiple roles.
Was Spider-Man like his first big role? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was.
It was his first big role.
Because now I feel like he's just gonna be like flying off.
But he's trying to have a family.
Yeah, I mean, interviews.
He's trying to lock down Zendaya.
How can he slow down now?
Yeah, apparently he wants to start settling down and making babies. But I don't think Zendaya is a part of that quite yet. She's been like, no, I want to keep acting and stuff.
Oh, in the interviews that you've seen?
Interviews I've watched, and Tom Holland's like, no, I'm ready to start a family, be a dad. And Zendaya's
like, get that MCU money. first.
Yeah.
Get more
Yeah.
MCU money.
Also, like, why are they talking like that when they're literally dating? They're setting their date. Like,
Yeah, they're
you
not
guys
even-
are boyfriend and girlfriend. Like,
they're not even married yet.
Nah,
like,
well, you don't have to be married to
Yeah,
have
okay.
a kid.
that's true.
But I mean, they're to 25, wanting to start a family. you
bro,
know?
if I was Tom Holland, I totally get why he's trying to skip right to the having a
He's
family
trying
part.
to call Zendaya.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, no, the beginning scene when that guy was like, "MJ, are you gonna have spider babies with him?" And I was like, "Oh my god!"
It's like real.
Yeah, I was like, "This is."
Yeah, whenever I saw them interacting during this movie, I was just thinking about the fact that they're together in real life. I'm like, we're just watching like two people like that are already dating, like,
Literally.
and their
Yeah.
chemistry is really good.
Oh,
Um,
the chemistry is great.
Before I feel like we could get into like our final thoughts and favorite things, we could talk about the second scene, like, or trailer.
Credit scene.
Yeah,
That
the
was something else.
Literally the Multiverse of Madness teaser trailer.
That was
Like, that's the first time we've seen anything really on
yeah.
Multiverse of
I
Madness.
feel like there was a bunch
Mhm.
of things that were like leaked and like posters and like the whole thing with like Wanda and stuff like that, but nothing was ever really put into stone that this is who's going to be in it and stuff like that. I mean, we still don't know who's necessarily going to be in it because of that trailer.
The most mind-boggling thing to me with that trailer is that
What
it's to connect What If.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we've been talking
Evil Strange, Supreme
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, like Jonathan
Yeah.
Be
and
the
I-
main villain of the movie.
That's
Yeah.
like Jonathan and I we've been talking about it like the past couple days is like they're all like, "Oh, the spell that you did caused this to happen." And we're like, "What did Spider-Man's Peter Parker spell cause this huge ripple effect in the multi like what
I have a feeling
happened?"
it isn't that.
I have a feeling that it is that because I don't think even
What
after
about Loki?
Doctor Strange was like, "I
Yeah.
don't know."
It could have been Loki though too, and it could
It
have been
could have
events in
been.
What If because those
There's
are
just-
legitimate other universes.
There's just so many
The only goofy thing
MCU. It's insane.
The only goofy thing is like, it's like, bro, like, you're telling me that there's like 3 completely separate, unrelated multiverse like causing events going on. Like the Spider-Man stuff, 1. Number 2, Loki. Number 3, like whatever's going on in What If. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much stuff. And then also even like you could view the stuff in Endgame, like how Endgame created pretty much like different timeline, like people from different timelines, and like so much like it's crazy.
Yeah, even the events of Endgame are sure to affect the multiverse in some way.
Oh yeah.
And What If, like, I can't believe we saw Supreme Strange. That had to have been him.
That it had to
That
have-
threw me off. That threw me off for a loop. I was like not expecting that.
I
was not expecting
I was
that.
expecting Kang.
That's what I was thinking too. Was Kang was going to come out of there and it was going to be all
Kang-
about him. But
Kang is going to be the main villain of Ant-Man 3.
Really?
oh.
Yeah, he's the main villain of Ant-Man and the Wasp. What's it called? Quantumania. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And see how is that going to like? There's just MCU does so many different things
the
that it
MCU
like
is gonna ramp up and get fucking nuts.
it
soon.
hurts. It hurts my head thinking about the different variations of where this all could go.
They can do anything.
They
you
really
guys know that the person who's directing Multiverse of Madness is the person who directed the entire original Tobey Maguire trilogy.
No.
that's cool. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Sam Raimi.
That's interesting.
That is really interesting.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard Spider-Man 3 was a mess because the studio like interfered with it. So I have hope for Multiverse of Madness. And that was what was Jesus Christ. It was making me think like I was like, what if what if Spider-Man is in Multiverse of Madness and then he's directing Spider-Man again? You know?
Right. What the hell?
Oh man.
That'd be funny.
I'm just really excited to see what Wanda has. I love Wanda.
How Wanda has
Wanda is one of my favorite. I love
she
her. So.
technically she kind of kicked off the multiverse conversation.
Yeah,
actually.
with
bringing Quicksilver in from another universe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even Quicksilver. It was Ralph Boner or whatever.
Oh yeah, it wasn't actually Quicksilver, was it?
No, but she messed up something though in that regard. In WandaVision, she messed up something in the multiverse because of her grief and her depression and stuff because of Vision.
I wanna have a moment where they break down like what exactly each of these different multiverse events, causing events, like fucked up. Like what they all contributed to it, you know?
Yeah.
Same.
No, I feel that. I'm really curious to know. I just want to know how it's all gonna come together and what is gonna happen. I'm just really, really curious.
There's gonna be like another Avengers kind of movie, probably not called the Avengers, but like there's gonna be a movie where they're all in it.
Yeah.
And hopefully something's explained.
I bet it would be called Avengers. I would make that because the Avengers is not like throughout like comic books and stuff like that. Like it's never been like always the main Avengers from the like the original three phases. But no, like I'm kind of curious. Yeah, like what the next one will be. Like the next big movie. The possibilities are endless.
I just want Hulk to come back into play. Like bring me some Hulk action. I love Hulk. I don't know why.
He is.
But don't. Hulk is amazing.
They're making the Disney Plus She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
And Mark Ruffalo's in that.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I think Mark Ruffalo does an amazing job as Hulk. But I'm really curious because I love Hulk. I know you're like giving me a funny face right now.
I don't like Mark. I don't love.
You don't like Mark?
I love Mark.
I don't love Mark.
I think he does a great job with the comedic relief of Hulk and also being that badass.
My favorite performance of Mark Ruffalo is actually in Ragnarok.
Oh yeah,
he is great in Ragnarok. One thing I noticed about the MCU is that they ditched numbers really fast. The only sequels with numbers are the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, they did ditch numbers really fast. I think to keep the ambiguity a little bit, but like you can kind of put everything together yourself, timeline wise.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's probably so like to not overwhelm people, like Thor 4, like because you know how like
is that like Thor, Love and Thunder?
Yeah, Love and Thunder. That'll be awesome.
I'm curious to know how that one is. I'm curious about that one because I don't think a lot of the Thors can live up to their potential. But
Ragnarok, amazing.
Ragnarok was amazing.
But Thor 1 and 2 are bad.
Yeah, they were
MCU.
Not the best.
Well, how about we go ahead and get into our favorite moments, our favorite characters, and our final thoughts and like our rating. I guess and we can just like all encompass that and you can just go off for as long as you need to do your thing. Favorite moments, favorite characters, final thoughts, pros and cons, and your rating. John, how about you start us off?
Perfect. Well, favorite moments, I have talked about it, but I love the fight scene between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. I think that's absolutely one of the best and coolest looking fight scenes in any MCU movie. It's absolutely ridiculous the way they were able to pull that off. The cinematography there is amazing. I love right after May dies when it shows that shot of Peter.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful shot. And also another one of my favorite moments is at the very end in the coffee shop. But before that, the last fight scene between Tom Holland's Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, because Tom Holland is like literally going into it. Literally reminded me of like Revenge of the Sith, Anakin going to the dark side. Mm-hmm. Like even with the music in the background, he was just like punching the shit out of Green Goblin, and Green Goblin's like laughing about it and like, yes, like it's literally like a Star Wars moment almost. But then Toby stops him and it's so badass. Like Toby's like, no, like don't make the same mistakes we did. Like favorite characters, I love all of the villains. Electro, funny enough, I think is probably one of the weaker ones. And Sandman's got more of the comedic effect, but like Doc Ock was amazing, just as amazing as in Spider-Man 2. I think Green Goblin was even better than he was in Spider-Man 1 in this. And then I guess to get into my final thoughts and rating, like, this was easily the best Spider-Man movie ever made. There's literally nothing more that, for me, it's easily the best Spider-Man movie ever made. And I don't think there's anything more that you could possibly ask for from it besides maybe a Miles Morales cameo. It's deep, it's emotional, it's badass. There's badass fight scenes left and right. And Tom Holland's Peter Parker, I think, is the best version of Spidey. He truly is what Spider-Man should be, especially by the end of this movie. It's the most beautiful MCU movie I think ever made. It's got a good mix of CGI and practical effects. Even the soundtrack adds a lot to the emotional aspect of the film. And holy shit, does Spidey finally see some consequences to his actions. I like that it isn't a happy-go-lucky Spidey story. It's got so much depth to it, and it really felt like a Dark Knight kind of ending. He literally lost everything in the end, and it's sad, but it's so well done. The scope of this movie is like literally nothing we've ever seen in cinema. It's a culmination of 20 years of movies. Like, that's unheard of. I never expected coming into this that I'd give an MCU movie the score I'm gonna give it. But Spider-Man No Way Home, it pushes the boundaries of what's possible in filmmaking. I've never heard an audience go as crazy as it did, and heard the movie theater go off like they did. There was cheering at least 5 or 6 separate times. And it's a feeling that I'll cherish forever. And it's a one-of-a-kind experience, especially seeing it in theaters the first time. For me, this movie, it's not perfect. It does have a couple of nitpicks, like what you mentioned, Ursula, where Electro sneaks through and you just kind of have to ignore the fact that the people that knew who he was sneak through. The people that knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man snuck through, but like Electro did, and he didn't really know because he said like, "Oh, I thought Spider-Man was black." But besides just a couple of things to ignore, and it's a superhero movie. Not everything is going to 100% make sense. You just kind of have to brush that one under the rug. There's really nothing else for me to nitpick, and I know you're smiling, Ursula, because you know where I'm going with this, dude. I can't believe I'm saying this, but for me, No Way Home gets a 10 out of 10. It pushes the boundaries. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and I don't think that a 10 out of 10 needs to be perfect. We've kind of talked about this before. It can have its faults. Everything has its faults. Nothing's going to be absolutely perfect. But this movie, it just pushes the boundaries of what's possible in film, and it brings a good end to character arcs that were from movies decades ago. It's just, It's absolutely insane. 10 out of 10 for No Way Home from me. Casey, did you want to?
Yeah.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Favorite characters, favorite moments, review, rating, all-encompassing thoughts.
I'd say favorite moments would be like I said earlier, the whole Andrew Garfield saving MJ. That I really, really felt that because it felt so raw and emotional. It was a great way to embody something that happened to him that he wanted to happen so badly, because the second Green Goblin got Peter Parker away so quickly, and that's when Andrew Garfield was like, oh crap, I got to step in and do it now, and he got that redemption he wanted. And I really loved the whole part with Otto Octavius too, where they were able to save him first, honestly, because I felt like he was more so of this guy who's going to destroy shit and fuck stuff up really, really quickly and really easily. I don't know. I have a lot of favorite moments because there was just so much that happened. But favorite character-wise, I would say MJ. MJ was one of my favorite characters just because she held on to that box the entire time, that death machine. Essentially, she was the one who was in charge of it, and she was the one who, anytime that Peter Parker or Ned needed help, she would step in right away, no questions asked. Along with Ned would do the exact same thing, and it was so nice seeing their character development throughout this movie, because I feel like the other two movies, like Far From Home and Homecoming, they didn't get a whole lot of character development with it, but this one they got a lot more with it. I like, another favorite character, I guess, would be, I really liked Green Goblin. I thought he did
he
a
stole the show.
fantastic job.
He really did steal the show.
William Dafoe did a phenomenal job at playing two people at once, and I think that takes a lot of balls and a lot of good skills to be able to portray that so well. And the fact that he was able to change his voice and the laugh, and like you knew it was him always, was so mind-blowing to me. My overall thoughts was, this movie is unlike any movie I've ever seen. I mean, I'm a big movie buff too. I watch a lot of different movies, a lot of movies that people don't like, actually, I like. So I watch a lot of movies, and this one really, like Jonathan said, it really pushed those boundaries that a lot of movies don't, because they're scared to, or they don't know how to execute it. And I think that they visually executed this perfectly. The timing of everything, the way that they portrayed every single character, whether it was evil or it was just Aunt May and Happy, like the fact that they were able to portray these amazing characters so much, it was so raw and so emotional throughout the entire movie. And like, even with Happy, like the scene where Happy knew May was dead, in that regard, like Happy just knew. I don't know how he knew, but he knew. It was so raw and emotional that I've never walked away from a movie and literally had my jaw dropped and nothing to say, because it's like, what can I say? It's just one of those movies that you have to go and see. And I know that when we went and saw this the first time, I'm going to cherish that forever, because you don't get a lot of goosebump moments that are so heavy hitting for you. And that is what we got when we watched this the first time. Even the second time, I mean, it was a little, not as much, but it was still there. Like, for overall rating of this movie, I'm honestly on the same page as Jonathan. I walked away and I was like 10 out of 10. I've never walked away from, like, and I'm a huge like Harry Potter person and stuff, and I've never walked away from that and been like 10 out of 10. Like, this Spider-Man, No Way Home, perfect, absolutely perfectly done to me. Even with the small nitpicky holes and stuff like that, it was executed absolutely phenomenally. And I 10 out of 10 highly recommend to anybody out there, even if you're just like hesitant on seeing it, go fucking see it. Go see it. It's so worth it. 110% worth it.
And hopefully, if you listen this far, you have seen it.
Yeah, hopefully. Sorry. I mean, we warned you.
We did warn you.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. My thoughts. Favorite characters, favorite moments. I think Willem Dafoe almost completely stole the show. Like, in every scene he was in. Like, seriously, this dude brought his best performance. Like, he's better than he was in the 2002 film, which is insane. He's one of the best villains in the MCU. Like, he might be the best villain. Like, he's crazy. Also, Alfred Molina, fantastic as a villain too. You know, I also think that Andrew Garfield steals the show a lot of the times when he's in the movie, and it made me like really almost wish that he got his due, you know, with his films, because he's fantastic in this film, and you can tell how much he loves the character with how he's portraying, you know, Peter Parker. And it's like, I miss Andrew Garfield, honestly. Favorite moments, you know, like you said, John, that Doctor Strange fight, fantastic. The reveal of them coming through the portal in fucking Ned's house. The theater was going ballistic. Also, we never even talked about this. The shot where they're all swinging together, and like, they're kind of like almost like tricking off of each other, and then they all land in the same shot. Like that was like insane. Like everyone was going wild.
True.
Yeah. Also, masterfully done scene. The fucking ending of this film, the coffee shop scene is so fucking. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie. Which just says something like about the quality of that scene because there as many crazy scenes in this film like there are probably more times people going crazy during this movie than Endgame. Honestly, people were fucking going ballistic at my theater.
Same.
Uh, net small nitpicks that I'm gonna point out. I'm gonna get these negatives out of the way first. I wish the final swing was better. That was just a fucking extremely small. That's just a preference thing. The I wish during the final battle that there was a little bit more of a distinguished point of time where Andrew Andrew had his moment where Andrew saved MJ. I kind of wish there was like a moment for Toby a little bit more. Maybe that might be the glider stopping scene where I wish they had an action scene against like their respective villains where they just like kicked ass, you know?
Yeah.
But that's also just like a preference thing at the end of the day. I think that, the comedy was a little too much at times, but that's also just like these are the reason I'm saying these are nitpicks, right? These are super small nitpicks is because, like I was saying earlier, what this movie had to achieve, like everything that this film knocks out of the park. This film, okay, like let's just break it down. This movie is a conclusion to Toby's Spider-Man. This movie is a conclusion to Andrew's Spider-Man. This movie is a conclusion to the arc that we've seen up to Tom Holland. That's 3 different Spider-Mans that we're getting a conclusion of in this film. This movie also, in all of that, doesn't lose sight of the main cast of those 3 kids. It keeps that relationship up. They're the heart of that film. We see even, like that MCU ism, the greatness of the MCU, where you do see that crossover between heroes, and we see Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, where they're both right, they're both right, and you see these 2 fight it and duke it out, and Spider-Man win, and it's such an amazing sequence. We also get fantastic closure on these villains that, like from the past 20 years. It does justice by them. They're not just cameos. They're fully fleshed out characters in this film. Andrew and Toby are fully fleshed out characters in this film. We get that Uncle Ben moment with Aunt May, like this. We get fucking J. Jonah Jameson, like, and none of this feels like, like half-assed. Everything gets its just desserts, like in the spotlight. Everything gets its due in the spotlight in this film. And this was probably one of the craziest balancing acts that any director, any studio could have fucking done. And they landed it. Like they it's not that they pulled it off. They pulled it off fucking spectacularly. Like it is a feat, like this film, that it exists, and it's as amazing as it is, and people like the praise that you're seeing across the internet, across the world, like that is so fucking universal. That's a testament to like how well they pulled things off with this film. Like it's insane. Like it's like I want to keep saying it's not that they just did it. It's not that this is just good. It's that this is fucking amazing. And it was a hard feat. They could have completely butchered this in 10 different circumstances. Like and like at the end of the day, this is like the ultimate Spider-Man story. All of this up to this point was the origin story of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and we see him become Spider-Man at the end of this movie. We see him deal with the consequences of his actions, and this movie will make you cry. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you, cheer. It's such a crazy roller coaster, and it's one of it probably, like, I was at a complete loss as like a fucking human being after this film, because I was driving home like after this film and just literally saying out loud to myself in the car, like, that was so fucking good. Like I was just saying that to myself over and over again.
Yeah.
Like the next day I couldn't even work. like I'm sorry if someone's listening to this job, like, but I could barely work. Like I was just in shock, and like I teared up about thinking about this movie after the fact. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but like I almost never cry when I'm watching something or playing something, whatever. I always cry afterwards when I'm thinking about it, because like when I'm playing or watching something, I'm just processing it, and it's really hard for me to like really let my emotions come out. But when I think about it after the fact, like, like that's usually when I start tearing up. And I have teared up thinking about this movie because it's so beautiful. This is the best movie I've seen all year. This is the best movie I've seen like in the past since this decade. Uh, this is potentially the best MCU movie that I've ever seen. It might be. It's not the. I'm gonna say it's not the best superhero movie I've seen. It's not the best superhero movie I've seen. But
very close.
I say it's very close for me.
Yeah, it's like a top 5 superhero movie. It's like a top 3 superhero movie actually. I'm not like, and you know what? I was walking into this like wanting to preface my original score of being like, look, that like we break things down in 0.5s. Um, I was thinking originally like my score is probably like a 9.8, 9.9, like, but you know what, like this was a once in a lifetime experience, and it wasn't just that theater experience that was so magical. It was how I still feel about this film, and as a lifelong Spider-Man fan, like how well, like this movie is so fucking amazing. I can't even like
There's
seriously,
not even words.
like I can't even like seriously, like I can't even like understate how amazing this movie is and how much of a fucking feat that they had to pull off to land it as well as they did. And I'm gonna say it, this movie is a 10 out of 10. Like I know I'm building up to it a lot, but like seriously, this movie is a masterpiece. It is the ultimate Spider-Man story. It does justice to 20 years of of the character. It's so heartbreaking. It's so beautiful. Like literally, like you will go through every single emotion with this film. And, like I could totally see this film being like in the 8 range or the 9 range if you're not like really like understand the depths of this character. And I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here and suck my own dick, but like this really, really resonated with me on another level. Like I feel like changed as a person. And like like I've kind of said this before. There's very few things that I would ever give a 10 out of 10 to this close to release. Usually it takes at least, I would say, like a few weeks to a month. The last time that I probably gave something a 10 out of 10 this fast after I experienced it was the first Last of Us. Honestly. So like, and when you feel this emotionally moved by film, like at the end of the day, the small nitpicks that doesn't affect it. Like this movie is a masterpiece.
Exactly.
And yeah, that adds Spider-Man No Way Home as the third perfect 10 on the ControllerCast.
Well, that's lovely.
I know.
With Last of Us 1 and Last of Us 2.
Among greatness.
Yeah, honestly.
Like no, seriously, like this probably is like the second best superhero movie I've seen. And and that's not a backhanded compliment to this film. It's just that like obviously the number 1 movie is like literally my favorite movie ever. So
Really?
like so I don't know. I fucking love this film. And yeah, 10 out of 10. I'm gonna watch it again as soon as I can.
10 out of 10 for me. Obviously, I already stated it, but there's literally not enough praise that I could give to this movie. It's perfect. It's everything a Spider-Man fan could ever want
And more.
It smashed every expectation I ever had out of the water. It blew me away. It's incredible. If you've listened up to this point and you haven't seen it for some reason, I don't know why, but please go see it. I love to hear that it got an official ControllerCast rating of 10 out of 10. And I'd be interested to see what Andrew says when he sees it on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm really interested too, and I think it's also awesome that this was my first time being in a podcast,
And you got the
I
perfect 10.
I got to experience the perfect 10 because it was honestly such a perfect movie. Like everybody, I don't care who you are, how old you are. We were in a theater with children. Someone brought in a baby. Go see the movie. Like go see it. There's like I don't know why more people aren't seeing it. Just go and see it because it's so phenomenal. Like 10 out of 10 across the board from us means y'all need to go and fucking see it.
Yes.
That's it.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
Casey, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having
thank you so much.
I really appreciate it, and also being the first guest speaker on here. I'm really happy to do that. Like I'm hoping that I can do this another time further down the road when you guys have more people.
Multiverse of madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? But thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate that
Yeah.
you guys thought about having me on here. So
Yeah. No, it was it was. Thank you for joining, Casey. Like it was fantastic. We're all big MCU fans, so I thought this was a good little, like a good mixing of worlds. Like you coming into this conversation. And yeah, seriously, like I was kind of curious. Like I'll say this. Like when I was thinking about this episode, right? I was like, how would this work? Like if Casey's score is different than ours, like how do we like incorporate that into the rating? Like what do we count Casey's score? But you don't need, it's not even an issue with this. We all gave it the same scores. So.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend to anybody and everybody out there.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. We all love this movie. It's clearly one of our favorite films of the past few years and of all time. Seriously, go watch this fucking film. It will blow your mind. And yeah, that is all for this extra long episode of the ControllerCast. Whenever we give something a 10 out of 10, it's super long. But thank you, everyone. As always, share. If you enjoyed, share with your friends. Do whatever you can. Keep on listening, and thank you so much, everyone. And happy holidays as well. Which we will potentially see. Well, next week is Christmas, so I don't imagine us doing an episode next week. But so we'll probably be seeing you next in 2022. Honestly. So.
Oh my God.
That's exciting.
Weird.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And then we might come with you with our like favorites of the year, which this will be on that list.
Yeah. I'd be mind blown if it wasn't on your guys' list. Like, come on.
Yeah. But thank you, everyone, once again. That is Ursula signing off.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is John signing off. We appreciate everything.
Thank you for just having me on here. It was a great opportunity. I've never done anything like this, and it was a great experience. So this is Casey signing off. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.